Good afternoon, I'm meteorologist Kate Bilo. We are tracking a severe threat through the remainder of this evening. It's this line of storms you see right here. It is producing heavy rain over portions of central Pennsylvania, but as this gets closer, these storms will have the potential to create damaging wind gusts, and we now have a tornado watch in effect for our area. Keep in mind, a watch means conditions are favorable for a tornado to occur. It does not mean anything is happening right now. Right now we have one severe storm in Delaware. Otherwise, you can see some pockets of strong storms just moving toward the Selinsgrove area, State College, and into the Poconos. The leading edge of this has a lot of rain, so that will help to stabilize the atmosphere and hopefully mitigate the tornado threat a bit, but we'll continue to watch this through the remainder of this evening. One cell has formed just south of Lewis, Delaware, through the Delaware beaches. Lots and lots of lightning with this. It does have a severe thunderstorm warning associated with it until 3:45. So you can see our entire region, anywhere you see the yellow, this is a tornado watch, and it goes until 9 o'clock tonight. We do expect the biggest threat with any of these storms to be damaging straight line winds. However, there's enough rotation in the wind field, enough wind shear, that any one of these storms could spin up a brief isolated tornado. We are also in an enhanced risk for severe weather. That's level 3 out of 5 on the severe outlook scale. So timing this out, you can see these storms will continue to move through. We may see some storms break out ahead of the main line of storms, like we see the one in Sussex County right now down the shore around 5:30. But the main line of severe weather will likely come through between 6 and 7 p.m. Any one of these cells could exhibit some rotation, could spin up a brief isolated tornado. So please stay safe, stay aware, stay updated here on television, online, on your phone. And if you hear a tornado warning, seek shelter immediately. Again, it's a tornado watch. These storms are a couple of hours away, so time to make some plans out ahead of the threat for severe weather. We'll have complete details coming up on CBS3 Eyewitness News starting today at 4 o'clock. We now return you to your regularly scheduled broadcast.
This has been a weather alert from CBS3 Eyewitness News. This is a weather alert from CBS3 Eyewitness News.
Well, we now have our first tornado warning of the afternoon. We were just on telling you about the tornado watch that had been issued and a severe thunderstorm warning in Sussex County, Delaware. That has now changed to a tornado warning. That means a tornado has either been spotted on radar or on the ground. Let's get you right out to graphics. We'll show you where this is. This includes the cities of Bethany Beach, Dewey Beach, Long Neck, and Millville. In addition to other towns and cities around this area, of course, a very populated area this time of the year, people down there for their beach vacation. This tornado warning is in effect until 3:45 p.m. You can kind of see the shape of this storm. It has that classic shape that we look for when we're looking at a potential tornado. You can see that. Let me change the color here so we can see this a little bit better. You can see that little inflow notch right there as this storm begins to exhibit some rotation. So once again, this is for Sussex County, Delaware. I'm going to take the radar off so you can see the areas that are encompassed in this tornado warning. This does include Dewey Beach. It does include Long Neck. You can see lots and lots of lightning with this as well. And we will zoom in on the locations included within this. Again, a very populated area right along Route 1, just south of Rehoboth Beach. Rehoboth Beach is just south of this, but lots of lightning with this as well. If you are in this area right now, it's a tornado watch for the entire area, but a tornado warning for much of the region encompassed in that box I just showed you there over Sussex County, Delaware. So here's what we're looking at. This storm has begun to exhibit some rotation. It is continuing to produce dangerous amounts of lightning, also very strong damaging wind gusts, but now a tornado warning has been issued as this has started to exhibit some Doppler indicated rotation in this area. So we'll continue to look at this cell as we pull up some details about it. We're looking at this storm is moving at about 10 miles. It's about 10 miles east of Georgetown. It's moving east at 20 miles per hour. And the National Weather Service tells us a funnel cloud has already been sighted with this storm. So this is radar indicated. A funnel cloud could mean that a tornado was spotted on the ground, or potentially a funnel cloud was spotted descending from the cell itself. But it has Doppler indicated rotation, and it has exhibited already a funnel cloud with this storm. So this is the area we're watching very, very closely. Dewey Beach, Long Neck, down toward Ocean View. I'm going to pull up our sweeping radar so we can see some rotation, and you can see the bright colors there. You see the purples and the pinks. That's an indication of very heavy rainfall as well. So it may be difficult to see if there is a tornado on the ground. Also an indication that some hail may be forming with this particular cell. We'll take the radar off for a moment and you can see the shear track. So what we're looking at here is where you see the yellow, that's an indication of where some rotation has been spotted. So for now, just west of Long Neck, there is a lot of lightning with this as well as it moves toward the Delaware beaches. And once again, a tornado warning where you see that red box. A tornado warning is in effect until 3:45 this afternoon for portions of Sussex County, Delaware. So we'll go ahead and pull up the velocity. So what we look for is a rotation signature as these storms move through. If I pull up the mean velocity, we can kind of see, you see all that red encompassed within the green. So we've got an area of green and an area of red. That's an indication right here that some rotation is taking place. What you want to see is all one color. If you see both in the same area, that's an indication that some rotation is happening, and that is why a tornado warning has been issued for this particular cell. We'll track it out for you. It's moving east at about 20 miles per hour, so I'm going to pull back the radar so you can see what we're looking at, and we'll track this storm and see where it is headed next. This cell, again, you can see that very, very clear, what we call an inflow notch. You can see that hook shape, and that is always what we look for when we're looking at severe weather. We're looking at a potential spot where the wind is moving into the storm right here, and that indicates some rotation around the back edge of that supercell. So we're looking at a supercell, discrete cell thunderstorm, which is moving east at 20 miles per hour. There's that signature, and it has, as I just showed you on the velocity, it does have a bit of a couplet, which means that area of red and green, the areas of winds going in different directions, and that's another signature that we look for. So if we want to track this out, we're going to take this at 20 miles per hour. It's moving almost due east. So we'll take it right to the coast and time this out. 3:19 p.m. in Herring Landing, 3:30 p.m. in Bottom Hills. And if I move this a little bit further to the northwest, or to the northeast, I should say, right here, up toward the Delaware beaches, you can see if you're in Dewey Beach, if this moves just a little further to the north and east, it'll get to Dewey Beach by about 3:30 p.m. So again, a lot of people on vacation this time of the year, southern Delaware, the Delaware beaches, and we are seeing a tornado warning currently in effect for this area. So if you are in any of these areas, let's clear the area so you can see what spot we're looking at. If you're in this area, if you're in southeastern or eastern Sussex County, Delaware, Long Neck, Dewey Beach, you want to seek shelter immediately. Get to a lower level of your house, as far away from windows as you can possibly be as this storm continues to move on through. Right now it is exhibiting some shear. It's exhibiting some rotation. Just west of Long Neck there, you can see where the yellow shading is. That's an indication of where the shear or where the rotation is currently taking place. So there's our sweeping radar. The good news, if there is any good news with the tornado warning, is that this is very close to the coast. It will move off the coast quickly. This is not going to be a cell that tracks widely over land. However, a funnel cloud has already been sighted with this storm, and right now it's moving east at about 20 miles per hour. So right now this is near Millville. It's about 12 miles east of Georgetown, if you're familiar with this area in Sussex County, Delaware, and it's moving very quickly toward the Delaware beaches. We are seeing rotation within this cell. So there's a better look at it as we widen out. It's just one discrete cell, and we mentioned this a few moments ago when we told you about the tornado watch that had been issued. If we pull out all the way on the radar imagery, there is a line of storms that's moving into the region very, very quickly. But oftentimes what you see out ahead of a line of storms like this are discrete singular supercells that like to spin up, and especially in an environment like we have today with a warm front to the northeast and a cold front to the west, we often see some rotation, these quick spin up tornadoes. That's why the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center issued a tornado watch instead of a severe thunderstorm watch. Even though the greatest risk will be damaging straight line winds, you can see from what we're seeing today that there is the possibility that any one of these cells can exhibit some rotation and thus can potentially spin up a tornado. So here's what we're looking at if you're just joining us. This is southeastern Sussex County, Delaware, right near the Delaware beaches. A tornado warning is in effect. That goes until 3:45 this afternoon. Hail of 1 inch in diameter is likely with this as well. Not only is this storm capable of producing a tornado, but it is also capable of producing damaging straight line winds in excess of 60 or 65 miles per hour. Also, we are going to continue to be watching this potential storm as it moves off the coast. Now, we are going to send you back to coverage on CBS3, but you can follow the weather, the severe weather threat with us on CBSN.
Okay, we're going to go right over to the Weather Center. We were just told that we have a tornado warning in effect. Is that right, Kate?
Correct, guys. We have a new tornado warning that has just been issued. This is for parts of Berks County and the Lehigh Valley. If you were watching just a moment ago when we ran down the current storms, we told you about a severe thunderstorm warning in that area. A tornado warning has now been issued for that same cell. This goes until 4:30 p.m. And again, this is a very busy area. This is right along Interstate 78, right along 476, and along 22 toward Allentown as well. You can see the areas encompassed within this: Maxatawny, Greenwich, North Whitehall, Lower Macungie. And this is just at the start of the rush hour. So this is a tornado warning. If you are in this area, seek shelter immediately. This cell is within an area of very heavy rainfall. It has begun to exhibit rotation, and a tornado warning has been issued. This storm is moving at about 15 miles an hour to the east. Meteorologist Matt Peterson is joining me as well as we track this severe weather day. Let's track this out and see where it is headed next. It's moving east at 15. Right now, it is located near Wanamakers, or 14 miles southeast of Tamaqua, moving east at 15 miles per hour. So we will pull this up for you and pull up the track and see where this is headed next very quickly. Let's bring it out toward Allentown and see the timing on this. So this will be near Low Hill by 4:35, East Fogelsville 4:46, Coonsville by 4:51, just after 5 o'clock in South Whitehall, and 5:11 p.m. in Allentown. And hopefully by that point, it will have weakened just a bit. This is a radar-indicated tornado, and this goes until 4:30 p.m. This is likely to be a very rain-wrapped tornado because of the heavy rain that has preceded it and the heavy rain that is really encompassing this line as it moves east. But you can see that little shape, and this is what we were talking about if you were with us when we were tracking the tornado or the tornado warned cell in Sussex County, Delaware. It has that hook shape that we look for when we're looking for some rotation. And Matt's pulling up the velocity now so we can try to see what we call a couplet, basically two areas of wind blowing in different directions that indicate some rotation. We are seeing that on the velocity signature on the radar level there.
Looks like it's just outside of the range of our one radar. So let's go back to just our. So we unfortunately, with it being just outside of our range, it's going to be hard to see exactly on the velocity image what it looks like. But Kate, you and I were just looking at our phones with the one app that we both have, and there is definitely, you can definitely see where the rotation is potentially being seen. It's just a little bit outside of the range. And then also with this, you have to think about it too, is the beam at this point coming from the Fort Dix radar or from State College, either one is shooting a couple thousand feet up into the air right now. So the rotation that it is seeing, that is being indicated within the picture, is a little bit higher up. It's not necessarily as low as it could be, even as low as maybe it was when we were talking about the tornado warning, just about 45 minutes ago or so down in Delaware, because the Dover radar was a little bit closer to that one. So this beam shooting a little bit higher up doesn't mean it's any less dangerous, doesn't mean that people don't need to take shelter right away. It's just kind of an indication that this is why it is radar indicated. We're not seeing any pictures like we had with Delaware as well, with that rotating wall cloud.
Right, so this may be rotation slightly higher up in the atmosphere, but at any point, a storm that is exhibiting any sort of rotation, even higher up in the atmosphere, could spawn a funnel cloud that could then reach the ground and create damage. And if you look down toward Baltimore, you can see that cell has also now been tornado warned. That is out of our area, but it's just an indication of what we're seeing with this line of storms as it moves in. It looks almost innocuous on the radar. It looks like a big blob of rain moving through with some embedded thunderstorms, but because of the amount of speed shear and directional shear we have in the atmosphere, these storms are able, any storm that does strengthen within that line of storms is able to start exhibiting some rotation. And anytime you see rotation in a thunderstorm like this, you see the potential for a tornado. So if you're in this area, again, this is for much of Lehigh County. It does include the city of Allentown. It includes portions of northern Berks County. This is until 4:30 p.m. So for the next 20 minutes, a tornado warning remains in effect. You want to seek shelter immediately. Head to an interior room, a basement, away from windows. If you're higher up, if you're in an apartment building and you can't get down to the lower level, you want to be as far away from windows as you can. Closet, perhaps a powder room, someplace without windows, because any kind of winds like this with this cell, and again, you can see how small that cell is embedded within this big blob of rain moving through, but it does have enough rotation, and it doesn't take much to spawn a funnel cloud on the ground, and that can create immense amounts of damage, can be very, very dangerous, can blow out windows. That's why we're telling you get away from windows, get as low as you can, and get inside an interior room or basement.
And you can see the town of Lynn right there, where we're getting that really dark purple and red on our reflectivity image here on Storm Scan 3. So what I'm going to do, let's also pull up, we'll see if we can pull up any kind of hail that might be developing within this too. We did not, the good news was we did not have much in the way of hail with our last tornado warning, and right now it doesn't look like we are seeing much in the way of hail being reported with this system or with this particular cell either. So that's some good news. At least that's just one less threat that we're necessarily worried about right this second. But of course, we are still worrying about this for the potential of a radar indicated tornado. And of course, Kate, that always means very strong winds and the very heavy rain and the dangerous lightning too.
That's right. And there is a lot of rain with this as well. Dangerous cloud to ground lightning. You can see the bright colors there, and those bright colors usually would indicate perhaps some large hail. If there's not any hail, what that means is it is pouring. It is pouring at the level, and once this crosses 78, we may start to see some ponding, some even flash flooding. We'll have to be concerned to see if any of those warnings get posted. This line is moving relatively quickly, although the cells within it are not moving quite as quickly as the line itself. In fact, this particular cell is only moving at about 15 miles per hour. That's going to put it crossing the northeast extension within about 15 minutes. So there's 476 extending from Lower Macungie up toward North Whitehall. Very well-traveled road. Again, as we mentioned when we were talking about the Delaware beaches, it's Thursday. People are getting out of town. It's going to be a beautiful start to the weekend. People may be starting their trip up to the Poconos early or starting their trip down the shore early. This is going to be moving right across the turnpike, the northeast extension of the turnpike, likely right about 4:30 or so. Just past Low Hill, that's 426, and then crossing 476 at about 4:30. Getting to Allentown just around the 5 o'clock hour. And again, this is a tornado warning for portions of Berks and Lehigh counties. It's just this one cell embedded within this line. And Matt, like we said, we saw a little bit of that inflow. We are seeing some of that rotation signature on the velocity apps. It's just out of the region for us to really show you the velocity, but we have seen some radar indicated rotation with this cell. Yeah, definitely. So at this point, anybody that is within this actual box itself, so we're talking about the towns of Lynn right now, just on the south, or Lynn is just on the north side of where the worst of this storm looks to be right now. And Weissenberg, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I'm not trying to butcher anything on purpose. Right. That is just on the south side of this, but also you're seeing Kutztown is within our tornado warning box. Lower Macungie, Allentown is just on the eastern side, North Whitehall, and then Lehigh as well, just outside. So any of those towns, even if you think that you are on the western side of the worst part of this, maybe you're in the western part of the tornado warning box, you still need to be taking shelter until the warning is done, until it is no longer for your town. You need to be making sure that you are staying in your sheltered area. You don't want to come out too early, and then there are still issues. Of course, there's still strong gusty winds, and actually just on the western side of our tornado warning box, Kate, you can see there's another area of some purple, some lavender in there, so another strong cell just on the barely on the backside of this one that is tornado warned. So again, just if you're in the western side of this box, does not mean that you are out of the woods just yet. Absolutely not, and that's why they're keeping it there, because again, you've got another storm almost training right behind that one. So that's why we're also concerned about the risk for flash flooding. If you get these intense downpours with the first cell, there's a better look at what we call that couplet. You see that little blob of red embedded just between Lynn and Weisenberg there, moving through western Lehigh County. And what we saw with the storm over Sussex County earlier, if you were with us earlier, we saw that shear signature take a little bit of a nosedive to the south and east. So even though this storm is moving east for now, we may see the potential rotation, the potential tornado start to slide a little further to the south. And that's why the box encompasses the area widely around this rotation signature. Lower Macungie, North Whitehall, Allentown, Kutztown. There's another cell behind it. So far, no rotation detected with that, but very, very heavy rain. And you can see lots of lightning as well. So This is going to come up on you quickly, and this is what we saw with our last tornado report. People were saying it was just pouring, it was pouring, it was pouring, and then all of a sudden you hear this whoosh, and damage happens, and then the rain starts up again. You're likely not going to see this coming. So take the radar's word for it, take our word for it. If you're in that red shaded box, seek shelter immediately. Get down to a lower level, get to an interior room, a closet, a basement. They have started just shrinking back the western side of this right now, but we're not out of the woods yet. Look at all the red shading behind that particular cell. There's another cell coming right in behind it that could potentially exhibit some rotation. There's just enough shear in the atmosphere that any storm that spins up and intensifies is starting to exhibit some rotation.
Yeah, and Kate, like you kind of brought up the idea of trading and moving over the same area. These are not the systems where, you know, if it rains early in the day and then it takes away the destabilization. That's not usually what happens when we have these kind of lines of thunderstorms that come through. When you're in this kind of atmosphere, when you're in this kind of event, usually what happens is you have to wait until the line comes all the way through, until that destabilization, until that instability goes away. So
right.
that cell that is right behind the one that is right now tornado warned, you might think to yourself, all right, hey, we have this cell going through right now. It's going to use up all the energy and we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. That's not always the case. That's not how these systems always work. So that's why we need to continue to stay vigilant. Again, even if you're on the back end, you think the worst of it has gone through, there's still a lot of energy out there. There's still a lot of instability, and we can have another system that comes right up, right on the tail of this one.
Right behind it. Sometimes they like to feed off of each other, and it could actually strengthen on the back edge of that. It's not going to fall apart just because one strong cell has already gone through. So the areas in that tornado warn zone, you can see right behind it, there's another blob of red. Now that one does not have rotation as of now, but there's another strong cell coming in right on the heels of the first one. The areas we're most concerned about right now, though, are in that tornado warning box. You can see the red outline. Cities like Ancient Oaks, Emmaus, Lower Macungie, Low Hill. This is a tornado warning in effect until 4:30 p.m. Now, the National Weather Service is watching this closely. They're starting to trim the box back. At one point, there were over 300,000 people encompassed within that box. Now there's 122,000, so they're watching that rotation as it moves east. But again, within the next 10 or 15 minutes, this cell is going to be crossing the northeast extension of the turnpike. Anybody that may be on the roads headed to or from the Poconos, this is going to be a very dangerous storm, not only because of the tornado potential, but also because of the intense, blinding downpours. I bet people are going to be pulled off the side of the road with the flashers on. And again, this is going to be, if there is a tornado contained within this, it may be rain wrapped. It may not be something that you see coming until after it has already passed and done its damage.
Yeah, and again, we've brought up 78 a few times. Of course, we've talked about 22, the northeast extension. But as you get off of those roads, maybe you think, all right, I'm going to get off of the main road and I'll kind of take not necessarily the greatest idea. If you get stuck in the heavy rain, if you are traveling on the highway, just pull off to the side of the road until the worst of it gets by you. Mm-hmm. Even though, again, we talk about there's the chance for another cell behind this one, but you don't necessarily always want to go on some of those local roads. They don't drain very well. And then that heavy rain that you're talking about potentially being rain wrapped with the tornado itself, you're not necessarily doing yourself any favors by continuing to maybe get off the beaten path. Your best bet, if you're not comfortable, would just be to stop driving, stop doing what you're doing at that particular moment, right, and completely wait. If it takes you an hour, it's better to wait that hour than have something bad happen to you.
Exactly. And off to the side of the road is a good thing. Where you don't want to go is under an overpass, because that can actually concentrate the winds a little bit if a tornado does come through. So you might think, okay, that'll protect me from the rain, but you likely would rather be on the shoulder out in the open as opposed to being under an overpass, even though it seems counterintuitive to do so.
Yeah, and Kate, I was just going to put our timing cone back on this just to kind of see. I know we've done this a few times, but it never hurts to continue to see as this continues to move to the east. Who is next in line for this? We talked about Low Hill last time. So right now it's 418. We're staying in the Low Hill area right around 423. So again, just another couple of minutes from now, it's now 419. So again, 423 for the Low Hill area. We see Leather Corner Post, that's around 430. So just as this is starting to expire, right before it expires, it would be in that general area, and just past the Kernville area there, 437 is when this particular area, maybe the area of strongest rotation, would be in the Kernsville area around 4:37. So that would be 7 minutes after this is set to expire. It does not mean that it could not be extended, but right now it does. Some good news is it does look like by the time it gets to Allentown, at least for the time being, the National Weather Service is thinking that this should have lost maybe some of its rotation, and by the time it reaches Allentown in just about a little under 40 minutes, or a little more than 40 minutes from now, it should no longer be tornado warned. But again, these kind of things, they sometimes, when it comes to the watch versus the warning, as we talked about before, whether it's favorable ingredients versus something happening right now, also with the watch, they're usually issued for a longer amount of time. The warning is a little bit shorter. So what happens with these kind of warnings is they'll make it for a shorter amount of time, and then they need to extend it, they will do so. Right,
and extend the geography of it, put a new tornado warning further east if this storm continues to exhibit that rotation as it continues to move east. They did just update the warning. It's actually moving a little bit faster now. It's moving at 25 miles an hour to the east. So that may change some of our timings.
We go back and change this to 25.
Let's change this to 25, and that may bring it to Allentown a little bit sooner. As of right now, it does look like the area of strongest rotation may be moving directly over the Allentown area once this line does go through, because you're looking at kind of that back edge of the storm. So this would bring it to Allentown by about 4:42. That gives you about 20.
That's about 20 minutes sooner than what we were just talking about, and that can make a world of difference
because of the increase in velocity. So this has started to speed up. It's now moving at 25 miles an hour to the east, and again, you can see the spots there. Allentown 4:42, Bethlehem by 5:53. It's moving almost due east. Now, what we can hope for is that the rotation does begin to weaken. Even if it does, this is going to be a severe thunderstorm with damaging winds in excess of 60, 65 miles an hour. We haven't seen many hail reports with these storms just yet. You can see very closely, very clearly there on the velocity signature, that red shaded area and the brighter colors as well of the green indicating the velocity around the center of that storm. There's still a pretty clear rotation signature with this.
Green, of course, moving towards the radar. Red is moving away, where they touch one another, where they come and they kind of bump up against one another. You can think about it as that rotation going on. And actually, even if we take the lightning off just really briefly, and you can see, if I'll zoom in, there's a little bit right now, right where the Low Hill area is, Route 100. Actually, I know that well. I take that route to go to my grandmom's house sometimes, going up to 309. So I know this area, and you can see there's a little bit of that lighter green, that brighter green, just right over Route 100, just to the west of the Low Hill area. So right there, butting up against then that darker red, that would probably be our best bet right now to see any kind of rotation. That's probably where it would be.
Right. You can see that, where you see those brighter colors, an indication of a faster velocity. So right there, crossing Route 100, just near Low Hill, if there is a tornado on the ground, that's likely where it would be. And you can see this is moving. It has now shifted just east of Route 100, those brighter green colors and that blob of red, which should not be there if there weren't rotation in this thunderstorm. This is moving very quickly toward 309 and toward the northeast extension of the turnpike as well. And this is going to be, it's generally just north of 78. There are a few cells still moving through 78 right now. Much of the area is being hit by these heavy thunderstorms, the Poconos, the Lehigh Valley, Berks County. But this one cell is the one that is exhibiting the rotation and the potential tornado touchdown in this area.
Yeah, and then again, there you can just see exactly where, right around the North Whitehall area, is right where, again, kind of just on the south edge of that, where we kind of talked a little bit about, we talked about hook echoes and all of these things, and it almost looks like a little bit of a nose on a face, right on the kind of on the western, kind of southwestern edge of this cell, right there. If you kind of think of it as the forehead is up here, and then this is the chin, it's the nose right in the middle there, is right where that rotation is kind of at, or it's right around, I would assume, probably right in that kind of general vicinity.
Yep, and it's not as clear as what we saw earlier in Sussex County, where we saw that very clear hook echo, that very clear inflow notch, but it's there. And we are seeing as well on the velocity some rotation indicated with the winds flowing in different directions. So this cell is embedded in a big cluster of severe storms, a huge cluster of heavy rain. You can see all the red, all the purple, all the yellow. It is pouring in this area, and it's not moving all that quickly, so that is going to lead to the risk for flash flooding as well. And within that area of thunderstorms, now we have one that has begun to rotate, and we see that often if one cell is able to just grow itself into a severe supercell. Basically, you can get rotation even embedded within a line of storms. We talked about earlier how it's more likely to see a discrete cell out ahead of the main cluster exhibit rotation, but this was not ruled out, and here we have it.
Exactly, and this is actually the same area, the same part of this line of storms that did not have a tornado warning associated with it, but did have a severe thunderstorm associated with it out near the State College area and out in Center County earlier this afternoon. And while the State College National Weather Service did not issue a tornado warning for that cell at the time, they did say that a tornado was possible in the same cluster of storms in the same part of this line. So again, while it wasn't forming tornadoes before, it did have the potential, and now the storm system has in that same area formed now a tornado warning up in Lehigh County.
And we see this often, especially because as we head into the afternoon, some of these spots saw at least a little bit of sun break out. It started to heat up a little bit. The dew points have started to rise a little bit, and there's just slightly better dynamics as this line moves in for these storms to become severe. And what we've seen so far is that the storms that are able to become severe have started to exhibit some rotation. Almost every severe thunderstorm warning in our area has then also triggered a tornado warning. So this is something we're going to really have to watch. Basically, if you are, as this line continues to move toward Philadelphia, if you hear a severe thunderstorm warning issued for your area, really, really take it seriously, because there's a good chance with what we've seen already with the history of this line of storms that it may be followed pretty quickly by a tornado warning. These storms are becoming severe rapidly, and then they are starting to rotate pretty rapidly as well. So once again, what we're looking at is a tornado warning. This is for the Lehigh Valley, mostly Lehigh County. This cell is moving very quickly toward Allentown. Very, as we know, populated city of Allentown. This is going to be over Allentown within about the next 15 minutes or so. And it is moving east at about 25 miles per hour. So that trajectory would take it right over Northampton County, right over the city of Bethlehem. So far, we have not seen this warning be extended further to the east, but we are still seeing a velocity signature on the radar imagery there in our region. So as we pull up what we're looking at here, once again, this is a tornado warning. We'll pull it up for you right here. And we're looking at parts of Lehigh County, just a tiny part of Northampton County, but this is right along I-78. This includes Allentown, Emmaus, Lower Macungie, Low Hill, and again, that's where the actual signature is right now. So you can see this is right now moving over North Whitehall. That's where we're seeing some of the worst of the damage. Let's see if we can pull up our Bethlehem camera. I don't know if we have that, if the control room can pull that up for us, but it is already raining very heavily in Bethlehem, and we're starting to see, there it is there. It's raining heavily. So far, it doesn't look like a lot of wind, but this is headed their way very shortly.
And Kate, I just wanted to bring this up because you've been talking about how it would be maybe difficult to see it, and you can see on the horizon, usually, you know, even if it's a little bit hazy, you can still see kind of the Pocono Mountains out there, at least the kind of the southern Poconos. But again, as this rain comes through and the clouds stay low, this is the kind of scene that is going to be kind of moving your way. So this is the early part of it, and you can think in your mind, all right, it's going to get darker. The rain is going to get heavier. So as this system gets closer to you, it's going to get harder and harder to see what's going on, even if it's just heavy rain. So while this is what's happening, you know, miles out to the east, this is kind of the precursor to what could be going on. And then as we get the worst of this to come through, you can definitely understand why it's going to be, why we keep saying the idea of a rain wrap situation, right, or an idea where you're not going to know exactly what's going on. It's because it's already starting to get on the bad side, even to the east of where this is taking place.
That's right. And Matt, you just mentioned that we now have a new tornado warning, which has been issued to the north and east of the previous one for parts of Lehigh and Northampton County as this cell continues to move east. So we now have two tornado warnings. This appears to be possibly for a separate cell. Let's zoom out and see what we're looking at here. Yeah, it's the cell to the north. So right now we have two, almost stacked on top of each other. One cell just west of Lehigh, another cell moving over North Whitehall. Both of these are now tornado warned. This one you see here and this one you see here, both with tornado warnings at this hour. The new tornado warning is for Lehigh and Northampton until 5 o'clock. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado and again moving east. So we have two tornado warnings right now for the Lehigh Valley, a tornado warning. That means this is a very dangerous unfolding situation for much of the Lehigh Valley right now. If you are in this area, so we have the cities of Allen, Bath, East Allen, Lehigh, Ancient Oaks, Emmaus, Lower Macungie, Low Hill, Allentown as well. all under tornado warnings. The first one until 4:30, the second one until 5 o'clock. But this is not the same cell. These are two discrete cells that have formed within this batch of rain, and both now exhibiting some rotation.
Yeah, so and then also, so it's now 4:29 as well. That first tornado warning was expected to expire at 4:30. We'll have to see if the National Weather Service does actually expire it at 4:30 in the next minute here or so, or if they have decided to continue it for any period beyond 4:30. But again, that first one that it does right now does include, I believe it is the Low Hill area, the one that we've been talking about now for about the last half an hour, the one that was right by the Northeast Extension. We were talking about Route 100 just a little bit ago. That is set to expire at 4:30. And it is now 4:30, so we have not gotten anything from the National Weather Service that says that that would be extended, and it does look like they have let that expire now at 4:30, which is good news.
That is definitely good news. That means the rotation signature, the velocity signature, has weakened enough or become broad enough that they don't believe it's any longer capable of producing a tornado on the ground. Doesn't mean it's not still an incredibly dangerous cell that is moving very quickly toward the Allentown area, but that tornado warning has expired. But just as quickly as that one expires, we have a new one to worry about, and it's this cell right here, which has just moved east of 476. It's now along 248, 145, 946. These roads up here in northern Lehigh County, northern Northampton County, on the way up to the Poconos, including Palmerton, right around Slatington right now. Likely some very, very strong damaging winds. That's kind of on the back edge, the rear kind of exit zone of that cell as it moves east, and Lehigh is next in line for this cell. Let's try to track this one as well.
Yeah, so 25, or is this one also moving, I believe, at 25 miles an hour?
25 miles per hour, yes.
Okay. So I believe we should be able to...
So this is located 7 miles east of Lehighton, southeast of Lehighton right now. This is a radar-indicated tornado. Hail at about 3/4 of an inch possible. We have not seen many hail reports just yet. That doesn't mean it's not happening, but it's definitely likely that the heavy downpours, the strong winds, and the potential for a tornado are the biggest threats with the storms moving through. And you can see a lot of lightning with these as well. Remember, lightning can strike up to 10 miles from the center of a storm. So if you're anywhere in this area, you can see the lightning strikes that aren't even really within the strongest cells. You can be struck by lightning if you can hear thunder.
So there is our storm track. So with this moving at about 25 miles an hour, with the worst of the system right now around the Lehigh area. So right now it is 4:32. This is saying it would be in Lehigh at 4:34. So this is right on top of Lehigh. If you are in Lehigh, you need to be in your safe place. You should have been in your safe place as soon as this was issued just a couple of minutes ago. As soon as that tornado warning was issued, because you were in the warning box, you should have gone into your safe place. But Lehigh right now, right on top of you. We also have Emanuelsville. That is around 443, Moore at 449, and then Penn Allen 456, Bushkill right at 501. So just about the time that this will be expiring, this should be moving into the Bushkill area. So again, this will be going until 5 o'clock. It's right now 4:32. So for another 28 minutes, we have our tornado warning. That is our second, or I should say our third so far this afternoon. So really some heavy rainfall being associated with this. Of course, the strong gusty winds, as Kate has said now, we haven't had too many reports of there being large hail, but when we have these kinds of systems, when we have the very heavy rainfall, even if there isn't large hail that's being reported, it's really not overly surprising to at least get a little bit of maybe pea-sized hail to come down and be associated with these kinds of thunderstorms that are going through. So for the time being, again, we're continuing to watch this. So when you do have a tornado warning, this is what you need to be doing. Of course, you're heading to the lowest level of your house or your structure as soon as possible. If you do not have a basement, I know that there are folks that don't, you want to head to the most interior room of your house. You want to put as many walls in between yourself and the outside as you can. If you are outside and you have no shelter that you cannot get to, of course, you want to try to be as low as you can and get out of any kind of open area. Of course, also, even if you're in the house, you want to stay as low as you can. And then, of course, you always want to protect your head. One of the things that I remember, Kate, from when when I worked down in the South, when we would have these kinds of situations, is we would tell kids to put their bicycle helmets on. Something that is also not just children, but adults as well. Again, talking about protecting your head, the bicycle helmet, something that you can easily grab and put on, and it really can help to keep you safe.
Right, and we've seen, this has been a very active severe weather summer for us. We've seen the damage that these storms have caused across our area. You've seen roofs collapse, you've seen trees on homes. Any level of protection you can put between yourself and these storms and these winds and any kind of flying debris or falling debris is definitely a good idea. Yeah. Even if you feel silly, strapping the bike helmet on, sitting in the closet, it's worth it if it saves your life and saves your children's lives.
Again, it goes back to, we were talking about driving when it's heavy rain, and you want to just, again, even if you have to sit yourself out for a little bit, even if you feel silly, it's much rather to be safe and silly than not silly and have something bad happen.
Absolutely. You can never be too safe with things like this, whether it's lightning, whether it's flash flooding, or whether, of course, it is a tornado. And again, still a tornado warning in effect for portions of Lehigh County and Northampton County. We also have a large severe thunderstorm warning. Let's not discount that either. A severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the rest of the area, basically all of Lehigh and Northampton counties. That severe thunderstorm warning goes until 5:15. It includes portions of Berks, Bucks, Lehigh, and Northampton. Really upper Bucks right now in the tornado warning where you see the red shading. That goes until 5 p.m. for Lehigh and Northampton counties. We'll pull up again another look at that cell that is possibly producing a tornado. It's this one right here. And again, it's moving to the east at about 25 miles per hour. So we'll track this for you once again and see where this is headed next. But this is part of, actually I'm going to zoom out first because I want to show you the line of, there are 3 cells basically stacked right on top of one another, extending from Lehigh all the way down to south of Allentown. And all 3 of these, you can see the center of these cells are producing very intense rainfall and producing intense amounts of lightning as well, and straight line winds likely in excess of 60 miles an hour. So I'm going to track all of these at once, and we can kind of see the areas that'll be impacted next, possibly not by a tornado, but by a severe thunderstorm. 4:39, so within the next couple of minutes, if not already, this is over Allentown. 4:49 in Bethlehem, Upper Saucon by 4:51, Lower Saucon by 5:05. Easton at about 5:12, Phillipsburg 5:16, and Greenwich by 5:25. And as if we just want to track the one cell that is currently tornado warned, this is moving to the east, again, 25 miles an hour. This is a little further north. Bushkill by about 5 o'clock. Moore a little bit sooner by about 4:49. And once again, we were talking about the look of this, and you can just see, once again, that shape. Let's try to, I'm going to try to take off this track here.
So yeah, I was going to say we get that curve, and Kate, usually when we have these kind of linear structures, we get that curved bookend, as we like to call it. So again, you have the line itself, and then as you get to the top edge of this line, now I know this isn't the top of the whole cold front line, but it's it's an embedded area of extra instability. And as you kind of get on top of that three cell line that you just timed out for us, you get on top of that and you get that little spirally bookend, and that's usually where we get the worst, or we have the best rotation, and you usually can have that best chance for a tornado when you kind of get that bookend kind of on the top or bottom of these lines that form.
These lines, yeah. And all these storms are kind of embedded within the same line. You can see there's 2 more, not as strong, but these may continue to intensify as well further to the south. So this is what we'll be continuing to watch throughout the remainder of tonight. All these storms pushing east, embedded within this big cluster of intense rainfall, and some of these cells are able to strengthen enough to exhibit some sort of rotation and possibly spawn a tornado. We currently have that tornado warning for portions of Lehigh County. Here it is once again. Tornado warning goes until 5 p.m. for parts of Lehigh and Northampton counties. We also have a large severe thunderstorm warning, which includes much of Lehigh and Northampton counties. Also Bucks and Warren County in New Jersey. That one goes until 5:15. So the timing on this, we'll take you out to future weather and kind of look at the timing to see when this will be moving toward the city. These storms are moving to the east, but it does look like the lower edge of this is starting to strengthen as well. So if we are going to get some severe storms in the city, it will likely be in the 6 o'clock hour as they move through Philadelphia and then down the shore by about 7 or 8, moving off the coast. The storms that are out there now very likely will move into northern New Jersey as they're moving almost due east. But we still have to watch the southern end of this. You can see nothing is really filled in between the severe weather down in Maryland and the severe weather in the Lehigh Valley. So this is the area we're going to be watching for potential development within the next hour or two. storms that may form in that area if there's enough instability for this line to fill in and then move through the city and suburbs, and that may not be for another 2 hours.
And we'll have to see, Kate, too, how now there wasn't a whole lot of rain, but there was that little bit. You can see it now kind of in South Jersey through Burlington County. You got it in the eastern parts there of Gloucester and Camden County. That little bit of shower activity coupled with the fact that we had more clouds than anything here in the city today, we'll have to see if that kind of helps to limit and inhibit, as we like to say, some of the instability that could be out there. Now, we haven't necessarily seen that so far with this line of thunderstorms, but it's something that we'll have to keep an eye out for. Like you said, we're seeing if it's going to fill in kind of in between that Reading, Lancaster area and the city itself, something that could actually help us and kind of limit some of that chance for some of the worst of the storms to push into Philly would be that little bit of shower activity, and then also the fact that we had some cloud cover through most of the day. Right,
and that's kept us on the cooler side. It has kept the atmosphere a little more stable, but these storms are kind of overcoming that instability so far. So we'll
definitely
see what
not
happens.
Trying to give people a false sense of security, but
it could help, and anything that could help is a good thing. We do have a live picture, I'm told, from the Allentown, one of our traffic cameras up in Allentown, and you can see it looks like the middle of the night there. It is so dark. It is pouring down rain, and of course, this is an area where that cell that was tornado warned is moving through as we speak. It no longer has a tornado warning with it in Allentown. However, this is still a very dangerous storm. They're almost starting to coalesce into one large area of heavy rainfall, leading to the risk perhaps for flash flooding in that area as well.
And as they kind of become a little bit more linear too, Kate, will increase that threat for straight line winds because they're moving in that easterly direction, 20, 25 miles an hour. They're already those strong thunderstorms. And as even here in the Philadelphia area and across the Delaware, Lehigh Valleys, we know when we get these kind of linear storms, we tend to have strong gusty winds that we've already seen so far this year. Again, so as we maybe lose some of that kind of rotation that we could possibly see, we then transition to maybe stronger or a higher risk of straight line winds. So again, even if the tornado risk lowers, we're still dealing with that severe risk and that severe threat throughout the rest of probably the afternoon and into the early evening.
Absolutely. And of course, it's not just a tornado. We saw this in Montgomery County last week. It's not just a tornado that can cause intense amounts of damage. Straight line winds, microburst, any kind of straight line wind event can cause just as much damage as a tornado. So you have to take severe thunderstorm warnings just as seriously as you take a tornado warning. You may not have to get down in your basement and cover your head quite as much, but you should at least be inside, take precautions, be safe, and be as safe as you feel comfortable being.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, even if if you have not kind of seen the worst of this come through just yet, or maybe you're in the Philadelphia area, you're Lower Bucks, parts of Montgomery County, Delco, somewhere like that, and we haven't seen some of the worst of this come through, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, is it going to get? Now's the time to prepare. Now's the time to talk to your family. Think, all right, this is what we're going to do in case we do have bad weather. Make your plan now, so this way you're not worrying about it when or if that severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning is issued. You know what you're going to do, and you can act it, and everybody can stay safe.
You should always have a safety plan in place, even well out ahead of these storms. But if you don't, now's a good time. As Matt said, if you're in the Philadelphia area, if you're in the nearby suburbs, there's not much going on. Showers just came through. A couple of our short-range models have this kind of missing the Philadelphia area. A few more have this line filling in, and it's really hard to tell in this kind of a situation if the storms are going to be able to blossom, if they're going to be able to overcome the stabilization there and actually develop. We need to plan that they will. But as of right now, the worst of it is up over parts of the Lehigh Valley. I do want to mention also there's a tornado warning very close to the city of Baltimore. So if you know anyone down in that area, very populated area where there is now a tornado warning. And this is all part and parcel of the same system that has been producing severe weather really all afternoon in our area. It has not reached the Philadelphia metro area just yet. Hopeful that it won't, but this is something we'll be watching through the next couple of hours.
Yeah, so we do have our one active tornado warning for the time being. It is up for Lehigh County, and it is going for just a little bit more than another 15 minutes. So for another 18 minutes, we're going to see it. We do have that tornado warning going until 5 o'clock. So we did also get a report, this coming in from one of our Facebook viewers through Yuki Washington's out here with us in the newsroom, and Jessica Cartalia as well, telling us that the winds are really picking up in the Toms River area of New Jersey. No rain just yet, but it is starting to get very windy out there across the Jersey coastline. So so again, that is out in front of the actual front itself, but it's a kind of just starting to see that leading edge of those showers that we said could maybe inhibit some of our afternoon instability. Also, we talked a little bit earlier about some thunderstorms that kind of rolled through parts of Long Beach Island. So again, that Long Beach Island, of course, a little bit south of Toms River, but as that next kind of push of shower activity gets closer to the coast, the rain, of course, not there just yet, but gusty winds obviously on the leading edge of that initial round of shower activity.
Absolutely, and that's about to cross the shore points. We did just get some good news that the tornado warning for Lehigh and Northampton counties has been canceled early. The rotation has weakened enough that the National Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning. We do still have a severe thunderstorm warning for this area, still a very dangerous I don't even want to say cell because it's a cluster of cells moving through, but no longer tornado warned. And as you can see, it's almost starting to coalesce into one larger storm or one larger linear segment of storms that's moving east. Northampton County getting the brunt of it right now. Allentown moving into Bethlehem, but no longer a tornado warning in that area, which is always good news.
But of course, we will now be concerned with the strong straight line gusty winds, which if there's a severe thunderstorm warning, probably gusting somewhere to around 60 or so miles an hour with that particular line. So again, we're still watching this as it continues to develop. And while right now the rotation maybe has become a little bit broad, we obviously have now seen 2 tornado warnings within this same area of thunderstorm activity, Kate. So it wouldn't be overly shocking as we stay kind of pushing even further to the east where there hasn't been as much maybe inhibition to the instability. As these cells get closer to those areas, it's not maybe uncommon to see that potential for another spin up to occur.
We see that all the time where you have a tornado warning, it finally expires, everyone takes a deep breath, and then 5 minutes later, enough rotation is back up there on the velocity level of the radar to actually show, hey, this is still a dangerous cell capable of producing a tornado.
Definitely.
So I would not be shocked to see another tornado warning for this area. Right now it's a severe thunderstorm warning. Of course, we are keeping very close eyes on this situation. We will continue to bring you updates from the Weather Center if we get another tornado warning. We no longer have a tornado warning in our area right now, but the tornado watch is still in effect for the entire area until 9 o'clock tonight. I'll pull up that tornado watch for you, and you can see, again, a watch means the conditions are favorable, and boy, have we seen that today.
Absolutely.
These storms are firing up, and basically almost every storm that has had a severe warning has then changed to a tornado warning. They are really quickly firing up and really quickly able to exhibit some rotation just based on the amount of shear in the environment. And you can see our entire area has been placed under an enhanced risk for severe weather. That's level 3 out of 5. That's not something we see all that often around here. And very often when the Storm Prediction Center puts us in that enhanced risk, it does mean the potential for a tornado. So definitely wouldn't be surprised to hear about, we already saw the video of the rotating wall cloud down in Sussex County. Wouldn't be surprised to hear of some tornado damage once this day is said and done, and we are still kind of right in the middle of it right now.
Yeah, and we talked, obviously, we were just showing you the enhanced versus slight versus marginal, but also what the Severe Prediction Center, what the Storm Prediction Center does is they give you a percentage on what the idea of maybe a tornado developing as well, and they usually go 2%, 5%, 10%, and the Philadelphia area today was in the 5% range. Again, something else that we don't usually see here across the Delaware Valley or the Lehigh Valley, for that matter, South Jersey. And again, we were kind of in that 2 out of about 5 range for tornadoes today as well.
Which is definitely unusual, and you've seen why. Now we've seen that several tornado warnings have already occurred. We will continue to watch this, bring you any breaking updates from the Weather Center as they happen. For now, we're going to send it back to Yuki and Jessica at the desk.
Excellent job. It's all about keeping people safe. Thank you both. Tornado warnings around the region. Some have expired. Storms, Kate and Matt, will continue to track the threat of the severe weather. More on our top local story.
Yeah, we have a tornado warning in effect again. You guys had said it would pop up, Kate, and this one's for Northampton County. Is that correct?
This is for Northampton County, portions of Bucks County, and eastern Lehigh County. So again, just as we were saying earlier, this is the same line of storms that we've been watching that had tornado warnings just about 5-10 minutes ago. We now have seen another round of rotation within this same cell, and now another tornado warning until 5:30 p.m. for portions of Bucks, Lehigh, and Northampton counties. This is right along 78, lower Northampton County, parts of upper Bucks County as well. Let's zoom in on some spots that are impacted. Hellertown, lower Saucon, Durham, Williams, Regalsville, Saucon, right along 378, right along 78, and I believe 309 as well as you head down toward Coopersburg. This is just north of Quakertown, and again, moving right along lower Northampton County and into upper Bucks. Let's show you this exact cell that we're looking at here. Right about here. And you can see it's moving right along I-78, just near Hellertown right now. We do have some rotation exhibited within this cell. This is a radar-indicated tornado, Bucks, Lehigh, Northampton County. It is near Hellertown, moving east at 25 miles per hour. So we will track this for you now. And let's see where it is headed next. This is going to move pretty quickly into northern New Jersey, but this will be over Polk Valley by 5:04, Durham by 5:14, Regalsville at 5:19, Holland at 5:22, and 5:26 near Narrowsville. So once again, a tornado warning for portions of Northampton County, Bucks County, southern Lehigh County. If you are in these areas, any of the towns we just mentioned, head to your basement, interior room, as far away from windows as you can get. You can see where it is embedded within the larger severe thunderstorm warning. This is almost a linear line of storms that has developed and is moving east. You can see where they are right now, and there is some indication that hail is coming down with this just south of Allentown, moving east toward portions of northern New Jersey. This is going to be moving toward Hopatcong very quickly. Lots of hail and the chance for a tornado within this particular cell as it moves east. And you can see how this is sort of coalesced into one long line. But Matt, as we've been saying, you can get rotation within a line like this, and that's what we're seeing once again with these storms.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of on the northern edge, we'll call it, of where I guess it's kind of on the kind of towards the bottom. I was looking at towards the Bushkill area, but towards the bottom, again, still, you can still see just a little bit north of Richland there. You still get that bookend kind of action going on, which again is something that is when you have a more linear structure to your storms, that's what typically happens, and that's typically where you see these kind of spin-up tornado warnings kind of take shape and take place, and that's what we're getting. Now, usually also we do have to remember that when these kind of systems develop and you get that bookend rotation, they typically tend to stay in the EF0 to EF1 range of tornadoes. Still very strong. No tornado is weak by any stretch of the imagination, but they do typically tend to be in that EF0 to EF1 range. But Kate, like you were talking about, blowing windows out, knocking trees over, that can happen. Whether it's an EF0, EF1, it doesn't really matter.
Absolutely.
You're still going to be talking about that damage, and that's why you need to put yourself in the lowest level of your house, why you need to put yourself in the most interior room of your house. We also like to say put as many walls in between yourself and the outside as you can, and that is just more ways to keep yourself safe when you have these kind of situations.
Yep, and you can see it's tough to see, but again, you can see the brighter red shading just next to the green there, an indication that there is some rotation detected. Again, this is mainly over southern Northampton County. It's moving east at about 25 miles per hour. I'll pull up the actual radar so you can see the areas that will be hit next with this, and you can see this cell has a lot of rain with it. Very heavy downpours have been happening with this line of storms as it's been moving east, and now over portions of upper Bucks and Northampton counties. That's where the worst of it is right now, but we do have some rotation detected within that cell right here over lower Northampton County, right along I-78. That's where our tornado warning is right now. So if you're in lower Saucon, it's just south and east of Bethlehem, that's where the worst of it is right now. If you are in anywhere in the Saucon Valley.
Also, we talked about the Hellertown area before. Just again, taking a quick peek on my phone as well, Kate, as you kind of find there it is. There's the Hellertown area, about 2.5 miles south of there. Again, where we've been talking about kind of that little kind of, I won't say hooker, but bow, but that kind of turn in that darker red, right in that area just south of Hellertown there, right along 412 by about 2 miles. That's right now where it looks like the broad, but the strongest of the broad rotation is. So right there, right along 412, about 2 miles or so. Exactly, right there where you put the X, just a little bit south of Hellertown area, right along 412 is probably right now the area of most concern. Everywhere within the tornado warning box, obviously we are talking about concern, but that would probably be where the most concern is currently.
And you can see that, again, that comma shape. You see that inflow notch, you see that kind of hook, and it's usually, like Matt said, right around the bottom of that hook there, right around just south of the Hellertown area where that rotation signature is the strongest. And then we have to track that and see where that's headed next, because if that's where our area of strongest rotation is, if you're in Polk Valley, that's about 506 that this is going to be headed your way. And then we can, continue to watch this as it moves. It's really going to just kind of ride that boundary almost between Lehigh, Northampton, and Bucks counties. Right in that 3-county zone is where the worst of it is right now, and it's moving east at 25 miles per hour. Incredibly heavy downpours with this line of storms extended now into northern Bucks County. So these storms are getting a little bit closer to the Philadelphia area, but it's still Upper Bucks and Lehigh and Northampton counties that are in the threat zone right now for severe weather. I'll show you that tornado warning once again.
And again, not to, just to kind of talk a little bit more about, you were talking about how this is inching a little bit further south into Bucks County, not trying to get people antsy or worried, but as I continue to kind of look at some velocity pictures here around the Quakertown area now, again, broad rotation, but it's going to be interesting to see now if the National Weather Service over in Mount Holly is going to potentially look at an area just maybe a little bit west of Quakertown to see if there's maybe a little bit of rotation there as well. So again, now that's on the southern edge of this line that we now are talking about. But again, it's all moving through the same area, Kate, and you can kind of see where these have started to form. It's kind of an indication of where we're seeing potentially anywhere in kind of the mid levels, maybe even the lower levels of the atmosphere, where the highest instability is. When we have the watch, when we have these kind of days where we've talked about the enhanced risk, we've talked about the 5% chance that the SPC gives us for tornadoes, you don't always know exactly where the area of highest instability and the areas of greatest concern will happen, but it looks like we're now starting to see where that is. And it's kind of in the Lehigh Valley area and maybe now pushing a little bit further south into Bucks and maybe eventually even into kind of the western parts, those northwestern parts of Montgomery County as well.
Right, so you can see our storm track feature that we have here on Storm Scan 3 tries to detect some early signs of rotation. And right now it's detecting a little bit of rotation here in this area over portions of eastern Berks County, which would head pretty quickly into upper parts of Chester County and Montgomery County. Also some early rotation detected in a cell that's just moving into eastern Maryland and has its sights set on northern Delaware. So we do have some potential irons in the fire, so to speak, as far as storms filling in that zone that we haven't seen just yet. But as of right now, this lineup here, there are almost, I can count about 5, maybe even 6 distinct cells in this linear segment moving east over the Lehigh Valley, the Poconos, and Berks County. These are the storms that are most dangerous right now. And of course, this one right here is the one that has a tornado warning associated with it. It's this southern cell just east of Saucon right now, moving pretty quickly to the east at about 25 miles an hour. But again, this cell here, south of Easton, also has a potential rotation with it. The entire zone is encompassed by severe thunderstorm warning. So you're talking straight line winds in excess of 60, maybe 65 miles per hour, the threat for large hail, as well as frequent lightning. And embedded within that line, one of those cells has begun to exhibit that rotation. You can see where it is, where that tornado warning is. There's the cell that we're watching just south of Saucon, moving toward Holland. It's in Upper Bucks right now, and it does have some dangerous winds associated with it.
And the good news, too, is now Lehigh County has been removed from that tornado warning, so they are shrinking it in size, as we've seen them do, progressively throughout the day as it continues that easterly trend. Now Lehigh County not involved in the tornado warning anymore, but again, still looking there for Bucks and Northampton County to be involved within that tornado warning. So we're still going to continue to obviously monitor this until 5:30 when it is set to expire, because we could still have the potential as it continues that easterly trek to potentially see more rotation develop.
And you can kind of see that the worst of the rotation has almost taken a shift to the south and east a little bit. It was a little bit further to the north over portions of Northampton County. Now the bigger threat has shifted into Upper Bucks County, so you can see where this is now. It's kind of moved south of Lower Saucon. It's now over Upper Bucks. It's along Route 212 there, 412. That's where the worst of it is at the moment. And that's the area that is exhibiting some rotation. We can set this into motion and you can start to see.
They've actually now, Kate, pushed that tornado warning. They've now issued another, we do have now another tornado warning. This one is for Hunterdon County, New Jersey, and for Bucks County. This one until 5:45 tonight.
There it is here.
So the National Weather Service saying, so this is the cell that was over Quakertown that I was just talking about.
Okay, now we do have
so at 5:08, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Quakertown, or just about 12 miles, of course, southeast of Allentown. Most of us do know where Quakertown is. This one is moving east at 35 miles an hour now.
Okay, so here it is. This is the next cell to the south. So now we have two tornado warnings. Again, same area, two separate cells embedded within this line. And this one right here, which is moving very quickly over 309 toward Richland Township. Again, very populated area here in Bucks County, now under a tornado warning. And you said 25 miles per hour?
35. So this
okay.
one, so they're starting to pick up a little bit of speed. And also typically when we get these kind of more linear systems, a little bit faster than the discrete cells. If we remember earlier, the cell that was in Sussex County, Delaware, 15 miles an hour.
Right.
As they've now coalesced into this more kind of a line segment, they've started to pick up speed. And as also because the surface front itself is probably approaching it a little bit quicker from the western side as well, starting to push these a little bit faster to the east.
And giving them that increased forward motion that we're seeing now. So 35 miles an hour would put it in Richland at 510, which is right now. So if you're in Richland, you are in a tornado warning. Seek shelter immediately. Interior room, basement, away from windows. Upper Bucks County in an active tornado warning. Elephant by 519, Bedminster 524, Tinicum 530, Pipersville there at 528. And we still have the tornado warning further to the north as well. And you can see this is starting to fill in a little bit on the southern end. So now we had that first batch of tornado warned storms shifting out into northern New Jersey. They're up here now near Mount Bethel and up toward Easton. But now the ones on the southern end, as Matt was talking about earlier, those bookend storms, sometimes you see them at the very top of a line of storms. Now we're seeing the more southern cells start to exhibit that rotation. So this one furthest to the south right now over Upper Bucks has a tornado warning.
Do we want to see if we can pull up the velocity for the newest one and see if it still kind of looks a little bit tighter, if it's looking a little bit more broad with that with the rotation. I don't know if we've pulled up velocity yet for our newest one, but again, it was looking relatively good earlier. So again, right now it's still a little bit broad. I want to see what it looks like on the Fort Dix. This will shoot a little bit further north, a little bit further higher up in the atmosphere, and you can kind of see it there just around the Richland area. And if we go back to our Philadelphia, actually you do get a pretty good view here with our Philadelphia radar. Probably right around the Richland area, I would say probably right in there, or we could have another little area kind of developing just a little bit further to the north and east too. So
this looks like it's right near Quakertown, the worst of the rotation, right over Quakertown right now.
So again, that is our second one. That was the one that was just issued, of course. That this is the one that goes until 5:30 now. So for just for another 19 minutes, we'll see. I'm sorry, that was the one that goes till 5:45. We now also are continuing our other tornado warning that is for Bucks in Northampton County, the one that's a little bit north of that is still being continued until 5:30. When we get into these kind of situations, Kate, sometimes they run together.
Yeah.
We're talking about multiple warnings for a long period of time, not trying to confuse anybody, just trying to make sure that we get the right information out there. So our lower cell, the one near Richland, that is until 5:45. The one that's a little bit north until 5:30. Both are continuing, though neither have been expired or allowed to expire just yet.
And you can see this is a much larger area. This cell that's over Richland or over Quakertown right now, it's a slightly larger cell. It's a larger area of rotation, and it's a very populated area that is being warned right now. This is all of Upper Bucks County. So again, from Quakertown on east, if you are in Upper Bucks County, you want to be down in an interior room, a closet, a basement, away from windows. Again, as we say, put as many walls between yourself and the window as you can, because this is a very dangerous cell. It has a radar indicated tornado. It's moving east at 35 miles per hour. And it's not only producing the threat for a tornado, but likely wind gusts, straight line wind gusts in excess of 60 miles an hour, possibly some hail and very heavy downpours as well. And you can see, just as we look at the storm tracks, as these storms continue to develop, this is northern New Jersey, but you can see how many cells within this cluster are exhibiting some rotation. We have a very, very clear couplet or a velocity signature right over Quakertown right now. You can't really see it on our velocity here. I'll try to pull it up one more time. But if you're in Quakertown, if you're at that intersection right here, 309, what road is this? 663. Okay, I know exactly where that is.
So do I.
Very populated area. There's a big shopping center in that area. Stay where you are. If you know someone that's at Target or at one of these tell them to stay inside. Don't try to drive through this. Just stay safe until the threat passes, until the tornado warning passes.
And again, while that, Kate, is definitely the cell that we are most concerned, also it's still within the same tornado warning box. You see there just kind of to the north and east of that particular cell, we have that other area of the kind of the magenta, the purple, and that's also, looks like that's also experiencing some very broad rotation too. So while this was warned for the cell that definitely was near Quakertown, up near Nockamixon, and again, just kind of in that northeast section there of Upper Bucks County, wouldn't be overly shocking to get some very strong gusty winds there, or to potentially see maybe some very broad rotation kind of in the upper levels of the atmosphere there as well. So this cell right now that we're dealing with currently, a little bit of everything going on, and there's our indications there on our Storm Scan 3.
Yeah, Storm Scan 3 picking up that rotation within these two cells as they move east, and both of these do have tornado warnings with them. So right now, here's what we're looking at. Tornado warning, you can see that rotation near Richland, near Quakertown being detected on Storm Scan 3. We have a small area still to the north over portions of lower Northampton, southeastern Northampton County, and extreme northeastern Bucks County, also in a tornado warning. And surrounding that up through portions of even into Monroe County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect. But right now, a very large swath of Bucks County is under a tornado warning until 5:45 p.m. And you can see these cells are one on top of the other. You can see that bright purple shading, very heavy downpours with these two storms and moving over really almost the same area that's already been hit by heavy rain, and now seeing another round of it a little bit further to the south over the Richland, Quakertown area. So what we have to continue to watch is now we've got some stronger cells firing up further to the south and west, back toward Reading and now down toward Pottstown. So if this starts to fill in, you can see how this would then move a little bit closer, all of these cells moving ever closer to the city and the nearby suburbs.
And we were talking earlier a little bit too, Kate, about the idea of, was the cloud cover that we saw earlier, was some of that late shower activity that we saw earlier, was it going to inhibit some of this instability? Was it going to lower our chance to see severe weather? And I think we're getting the answer right now. It did not.
It did not.
You brought up the idea that these storms, they really were overcoming some of that convective inhibition that was out there, and it definitely seems to continue to be happening. And as they fill in now across Reading, or across Reading and parts of Berks County, and then push south into western Montgomery County, and then into parts of Chester County as well, we can probably with pretty good certainty this is not going to fall apart. We're not necessarily going to say that we're going to get more tornado warnings. We're not saying that we're going to get more severe thunderstorm warnings, but I think we can pretty safely say that this line is going to continue to stick together, and it will most likely work its way all the way through the suburbs and probably into Philadelphia.
Absolutely. I don't think it's going to just dissipate and fall apart and kind of part like the Red Sea before moving over Philadelphia. This is definitely going to, again, even if we don't get severe weather or tornado warnings, we likely will see very strong storms around the city and suburbs. And what's interesting is we have, what we're looking at here is fuel for thunderstorms. It's what we call CAPE, or convective available potential energy. And you can see the potential energy is much stronger from Philadelphia on south than it is in the areas to the north. That just tells you these storms don't even have a lot to work with, and they are still becoming severe. They're still firing up. They're still becoming intense. So when you get to the city on south, areas that have not seen severe weather yet, like Wilmington, Philadelphia, Delaware County, Chester County, there's actually more fuel available for these storms as they form than there is off to the north, where we've seen these storms almost overachieving and becoming severe very quickly, where they now are tornado warned.
Yeah, and so it just means that our threat will continue. We talk about our fuel, of course, the tornado watch that is in effect. That still goes until 9 o'clock tonight. So again, while right now we have the storms coming through, we have to remember that we're going to be staying vigilant. We're going to be staying with you as long as we have to, which could be until 9 o'clock tonight, where we're still having the tornado watch in effect until 9 o'clock. Don't want people to let their guard down just yet. Again, especially in Philadelphia and points south, where we were just showing you, that's where there's a little bit of maybe extra energy. And again, that's why we have our tornado watch that goes through this evening. And here's a picture of Center City right now. Not looking too bad out there.
Yeah.
I mean, all things considered, it's
this is
gray.
Looking west from Philadelphia. And yeah, it does look gray, but so far storms have stayed pretty far to the west of Philadelphia, but they are starting to fill in. And as Matt just said, this threat is going to be with us. Now you can see we've been talking about how sometimes, a lot of times, these tornado warned storms form at the top or the bottom of a line. And you can see this one here, Storm Scan 3 over portions of eastern Lancaster County is now detecting some early rotation. This is a cell moving toward Honeybrook. That doesn't mean we're going to have a tornado warning for it, but it is on the southern end of this line. So I wouldn't be surprised to see perhaps some intensification in that cell, or a cell that develops even further to the south. Also very heavy rain here just east of Reading, which is going to be poised to move through parts of Chester County and Montgomery County before this is all said and done. Right now, of course, the strongest storms we have are these two over Bucks County, both with tornado warnings still associated with them. We'll pull up the tornado warnings. Again, that one to the north is now a very, very small area, but there is enough of a signature to keep that tornado warning in place at least until it expires at 5:30. And a very large part of Upper Bucks County right now under a tornado warning. That goes until 5:45 tonight. So let's take you at a little bit of a closer level and see which areas are being likely the most impacted right now. I'm going to turn off these large storm tracks so we can see it. It has started to shift east. The worst of it right now is now east of Richland, probably right along the intersection here of 563 and 313. Let's see if the
so we're east now of 309. We were talking about 309 earlier. Of course, a big thoroughfare for people coming to and from the Poconos and the Lehigh Valley. So again, we're now east of 309.
And what you're looking at there is a shot from 309.
Okay.
This is a traffic camera along 309.
Okay, yeah. So we're now talking probably again to the east of Quakertown.
East, yep.
And as we get out into some of these areas, the towns are a little bit smaller. So sometimes not to say that we're trying to ignore anyone. Sometimes some of the smaller towns don't show up. If anybody is watching, if you're on social media, please feel free to get in touch with Kate or I or Yuki or Jessica Cartalia on social media and let us know what's going on in your neighborhood. Viewer photos are always great. Let us know if it's getting dark, if it's windy, and what the rain looks like. And that can also help us to keep everybody in your community and the surrounding community safe as well, because again, we don't always see some of the smaller towns and some of the smaller communities that are out there, and we don't want to forget anybody. We don't want people to think that we're not trying to keep everybody safe.
And your eyes on the ground are always great, and our weather watchers as well. We have a large network of weather watchers around the region. They can chime in and let us know what they're seeing. It does look like it's east of Richland right now, and it looks like this is moving very quickly toward Bedminster. So if you're in Bedminster, this is going to be the next larger town in Bucks County likely to be impacted by this storm. The actual rotation signature very quickly moving toward Bedminster. Yuki and Jess are in here with us and getting some reports from viewers.
Yeah, we are. And Kate, I wanted you to reiterate something that you said earlier, because I found it very interesting. If you know someone who's driving, right, and you get caught in this, you said it is not smart to go under an overpass and to hunker down there. It's best to pull over. Explain why, because you know people are on their way home tonight.
When you're talking about strong winds, and especially tornadic winds, there's something called the Venturi effect, which basically means if you take winds and concentrate them through a narrow channel, it's the same thing that happens to a river. If it's concentrated through a smaller channel, it's going to start increasing. So oftentimes you can get this Venturi effect where winds actually speed up under an overpass, and it can actually be more dangerous to be in an area where those winds have to basically shoot through that channel. It's something we talk about sometimes in Philadelphia with winds, just typical winds that blow through the buildings,
right,
and the winds feel stronger on one of those blocks with large buildings. That's why it's just better to get to the side of the road. Now, what we actually say is the safest place to be in a tornado is out of your car in a ditch, low lying down as close to the ground as you can. With a storm that has a ton of rain and a ton of lightning, that's maybe not the safest thing to do. You may want to just stay in your car. But what I would do if I were in that situation, if I were traveling right now on 313, if I were traveling 20 minutes ago on 309, I would pull to the side of the road, try to get down into it. Like if you're at the top of a hill, you want to try to maybe drive to the bottom of the hill as low as you can to the ground and get down, put your head down in your car and just kind of stay there until the threat has passed. That's if you're in a tornado warning.
Interesting, because you would think you want to pull under something because of the storm coming down, but I thought that's interesting. Good to know.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, let's go back a couple hours. I'm going to show you some video real quick. Take a look at this video from a viewer in Delaware. This is from Mr. Andrew Shearer's Twitter page. The first video shows what looks like a water spout. This is near Long Neck in Sussex County, and we were talking about that just a couple minutes after 3 o'clock when all this happened. Then another video shows what a funnel cloud. It looks like a funnel cloud over the air.
We were talking about earlier. We were talking about that rotating wall cloud. That's what this picture is. It could potentially be a funnel. That looks like it actually is touching the water, so we could have a water spout there. The second video, though, I think is really what spawned all of this, and that's what Kate and I were talking about, what we call a rotating wall cloud. You think about kind of on the right-hand side of that picture, you think of that as a wall, and as it pushes, as it's pushing, and I'm not sure exactly which direction, so let's just talk about going to the right of the screen. The front edge of that, you think about that as a leading edge of a wall, and it spins, and we call it a rotating wall cloud, which could then lead to a potential funnel.
Was that enough evidence, do you think, for the officials to confirm that it indeed was that, or
the water spout image to me is enough to say that there's a water spout. That video of the wall cloud, you didn't actually see the funnel extending to the ground. We would actually need to see the funnel extending to the ground with perhaps a debris cloud or something to be able to confirm from a video that a tornado touched down. That looked like it was in the process of forming. I would be very surprised if there wasn't a tornado touchdown in this area, but I don't think that video alone is enough to say that it did.
That video is absolutely enough for them to prove that it was warranted to have the tornado warning.
Sure.
Because that is a precursor usually to a system dropping a funnel. So when we have video evidence like that, and also we talk about radar indicated versus on the ground versus eyeballs actually seeing something, you could consider that a not just radar indicated situation. That's a situation where someone that is a spotter from the National Weather Service, or they can send that to the National Weather Service in Mount Holly. Mount Holly can look at it quickly and say, definitely a rotating wall cloud. It could potentially drop a funnel. We need to issue a tornado warning, rather than just going by what you're seeing on the radar picture.
And many thanks to Drew for sending us this video. And that's a reminder, if you do see something out there and you would like to send us video, please be safe in the process of sending that to us.
That's the biggest thing. Everybody, you have two types of people, I've realized, in these kind of situations. The folks that go out and they want to take the picture, which we really appreciate, and then you also have the folks that want to stay inside, which we also really appreciate. But like you said, Yuki, we need to make sure that while we appreciate everything that our viewers and our weather watchers do for us, we want everybody, the number one priority is always staying safe. So if you do want to go out and take that picture and take that video, make sure that you're doing it in a proper fashion, and you and anyone that you're with is not in any kind of danger or anything like that.
Right, so that's why that video from Drew, when you see a rotating wall cloud like that, he got it on camera and hopefully immediately got into shelter, because you don't want to continue watching something like that and then a tornado spins up and you're not in an area where you can stay safe. So while we love seeing photos, we love seeing videos, we would much rather people be in their safe space in a situation like this when a tornado warning is in effect, like we have right now for Upper Bucks County. Bedminster, that cell is going to be moving, if it's not already, right over your area within the next couple of minutes. If you're in Bedminster specifically, please seek shelter immediately. There's another cell to the north, which is moving just south of Milford. That looks like it has some rotation with it as well. So if you're in Tinicum, this is your warning. Please seek shelter immediately. A tornado warning is in effect for your area. The worst of it right now, Bedminster, Tinicum. The warning doesn't extend down toward Plumsteadville, but if you're in that area, I would also say please be safe, seek shelter, because this storm is moving quickly through that area, and it is very, very dangerous and tornado warned at this moment. We did just get a report of a wind gust. This is from the Quakertown Airport, measured a wind gust of 53 miles per hour as this storm came through. That in and of itself is strong enough to cause some damage, but of course we won't know if a tornado did indeed touch down in this area until we go back and possibly assess the damage once the storm threat has passed. So again, as you can see, portions of Upper Bucks County right now moving quickly toward Tinicum, right over Bedminster. This is the area that is in the danger zone, so to speak, in the worst of the threat zone right now as this cell continues to move east. It is still moving, I believe,
35 miles an hour was what that was moving at originally. So we haven't gotten any reports
that
it has
25 now as of 5:24.
Okay, so we have slowed it down. So just about 4 minutes ago, they slowed it down. Something that we haven't seen yet, Kate, is large hail. However, with the system that you're talking about right now that just did slow down to 25 miles an hour, there's now the potential for hail of up to 1 inch in diameter. So that is on the larger side, especially compared to anything that we've so far. Most of the radar indication, if there was hail, has been up to 3/4 of an inch. So we've now kind of reached that 1 inch range, which again just kind of continues to feed into the idea that these are rotating and there's strong updrafts within the clouds themselves, which means that these thunderstorms aren't necessarily, while they might be losing the rotation, so that's not necessarily a tornado warned storm anymore, they're still not losing juice. They're not losing fuel. There's still a strong updraft within the cloud, and that's what's feeding that chance for the stronger hail, and also could potentially feed in if some of that strong air reaches down to the ground. We can get those strong gusty winds. We can get the microbursts like we dealt with last week.
Absolutely, especially when you see these storms building and producing that large hail, that increases the threat for a damaging straight line wind event, in addition to the threat for a tornado. So again, 2 tornado warnings still in effect. The one to the north is a tiny area, including Durham and Riegelsville. This should expire within the next minute. That expires at 5:30. The larger warning, it has been scaled a little bit back to the east, but it's still in effect for Bedminster, Bridgeton, Haycock, Nockamixon, much of Upper Bucks County. That goes until 5:45 this afternoon. Both of these with 2 distinct cells that are one on top of the other. Right now, these are the cells we're watching, both with some radar indicated rotation. Right now, Bedminster toward Tinicum looks like the area in the greatest threat zone, but also up toward Frenchtown, still seeing some rotation. That's about to cross 32 and 29. And again, you can see these storms are developing on the southern end as well. So we've got a line of storms moving from eastern Berks County into Montgomery and upper Chester County. Also some early detection of rotation right here along I-95 with a cell that's just about to move into Newcastle County. Currently no warning for that one, but we are going to be watching that very closely to see if we get any sort of a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning with that one. But right now you can see the bright colors there, very clear which are the 2 most dangerous cells in our region at the moment.
And we've got watching special weather coverage here on CBS3 Eyewitness News as weather is moving into our region. It is 5:30. Kate Bilo and Matt Peterson are leading our coverage. Matt?
Yeah, thanks, Yuki. And I just wanted to say, just to kind of piggyback, and Kate and I will recap everything. But Kate, I did want to say that we have now gotten at least 1 storm report. We got one earlier from down in Delaware. We've now gotten one from the Quakertown Airport. So this is from an actual legitimate reporting site. We did get a wind gust of up to 53 miles an hour. This one came in just around 5:15. So just about 15 minutes or so ago, we did get a report 53 mile an hour wind gusts at the Quakertown Airport. And that was with our cell that then, of course, did become tornado warned.
Absolutely. So just to recap, if you're just joining us at the top of the 5:30 broadcast, we have an active tornado warning in effect for portions of Bucks County. One to the north has just been allowed to expire. That was for portions of Northampton County. But right now, Bedminster, Bridgeton, Haycock, Nockamixon, much of Upper Bucks in an active tornado warning. That goes until 5:45 this evening. If you are in this area, here's what you need to do. Head to your basement, away from windows, get low to the ground, and protect your head. Get as many walls between yourself and the windows as you can, and as far to the ground as you can. If you're in a high-level apartment building, we say a closet, a powder room, basically as far away from windows as you can be if you can't get down to the lower level, which would be ideal.
Yeah, and if you're not sure what to do if you are in an apartment building, call maintenance call the office and see if they have a place, if there's a storage area, if there's a basement somewhere that you're allowed to go and maybe try to work your way to that area. If you're not quite sure what to do, it never hurts to ask the people that are in charge, and you can make sure to, again, keep yourself safe.
But you don't want to be in an elevator. Take the stairs.
No, do not take the elevator. And if you do happen to be in, there are some apartment complexes where it's not an interior hallway. You don't want to be standing in the exposed outside hallway outside of your apartment. You would be better off maybe getting into an interior room of your apartment rather than going outside and trying to walk around outside. Just keep yourself in an indoor space and try to put, again, like Kate was saying, as many walls in between yourself and the outside as possible.
Absolutely. This is the area we're watching. Again, it's moving east at about 25 miles per hour. This is located near Easton. It's about 18 miles south of Easton right now. Radar indicated tornado and hail up to 1 inch in diameter likely with this storm. As it moves east, it's very quickly moving into portions of northern New Jersey. It'll be over Wismar by 5:38, Point Pleasant 5:44, Raven Rock at 5:48, Solebury Township by 5:52, Stockton at 5:55, and just prior to 6 o'clock, Delaware, New Jersey. And this warning goes until 5:45. We actually it looks like we just got a new tornado warning for this area. Let's zoom out.
Yes, we did just get a new one, Kate, for Trenton and Bucks County. It now goes until 6 p.m. So we've now have another one.
This has been extended to the south and east a bit, it looks like. Plumstead now included in that. And we were talking about that earlier. I mentioned that if you're in Plumstead, you're not actually in the tornado warn zone, but it does look like it's diving to the south and east. So now we do have a new tornado warning, which includes areas further to the south. Same cell, but basically allowing for a little bit more of a southeastward movement to the rotation here.
And they're saying that right now, the potential for where that rotation is located is just around the Pipersville area. And this one is also moving at about 25 miles an hour, which makes sense considering that line seemed to have slowed down, Kate, from 35 to 25 miles an hour, which we brought up just a couple of minutes ago. It kind of seemed to have slowed, and it looks like this one is all, again, incorporated into that same cluster of storms that has to do with the ones that went through the Quakertown area and then even a little bit further north, so also moving about 25 miles an hour.
Kate and Matt, I have a question for you. We had this earlier, right? And then it died down. We took Biden. We came back.
Yeah.
We had another warning. You said there were 2 warnings at the same time. Now this one. Is this the same as before, or do we now have 3 warnings in effect? How does this work?
Right now we have 2 active warnings, but they're for the same cells. So what we've been kind of seeing are these cells rotating. The rotation dies down a little bit, then it picks back up again. So the warning we had earlier for Sussex County was kind of a prefrontal cell, a discrete cell that developed out ahead of everything else.
Okay.
All the ones we've been seeing up in the Lehigh Valley and Bucks County have all been part of the actual cluster of storms moving east, and they've just been continuing to exhibit rotation as they move eastward.
And you can kind of see on the picture as well. So there's kind of further to the east, right along the border of Bucks County and New Jersey, there's that green and red kind of together. So that is why there's one warning for that area. And then as you push a little bit further back to the west, we have the larger circle there that Kate has. That is why there was another warning prompted. So it's all it's the same line of storms. And then you get the warning for each individual location where there could potentially be rotation with a tornado. So it looks very kind of convoluted there, and it looks like it's all one big area, which it is, but it's warned based on individual locations where that rotation might possibly be occurring. So they're individual warnings for a much larger system.
And I believe I remember you saying some of these cells might be small, but they can pack a big punch, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Even, we saw one tiny little warning for parts of it, just the corner of Bucks County, and you might think, well, why would you warn an area that's just a tiny, because if there's a tornado on the ground in that area, those people in that tiny little area, that could be potentially fatal. That is a very dangerous situation. So even though these cells are kind of small and embedded within the larger, although this one has really blown up, there's nothing small about this one, but even though they're embedded within a larger cluster, it's a small area, they can pack quite a punch, not only with tornadoes, but also damaging wind and very heavy rain. You see how bright that purple is. You can really see all the lightning and the heavy rain. That cell right now is the most dangerous in our area. But also notice, look to the north, and again, you can see the purple there. There's almost 2 distinct areas of rotation within that same cluster, almost 2 separate cells, one on top of the other. If we pull up the velocity, you can kind of see that a little bit better. It looks like one storm, but you can see 2 areas of green So if you're not used to looking at velocity, this might just look like a total mess to you. But what we're looking at here, there's not supposed to be any green there. All the winds are supposed to be blowing the same direction. The radar is indicating which way the wind is blowing. They're all supposed to be red. When you see green embedded within the red, that is an indication that the winds are blowing the wrong way and that rotation in the wind field is happening. So that's really what the National Weather Service looks for when they're looking to issue a warning based on the radar. They're looking at a velocity signature and saying, okay, wait a minute, we've got winds that are blowing away from the radar, and now we have this area of winds embedded within that blowing toward the radar site. That's an indication that a storm has taken on some sort of rotation.
And it's so interesting, too. On social media, we'll get reports saying, oh, it's just sprinkling here, or it looks overcast. And then we just heard pouring at the Phillies game, right? And then you have this in Bucks. So it's really just so it's incredible how dependent it is on where you are geographically.
It gets very localized, especially with these kind of these are what we call mesoscale events or even microscale events. So obviously, micro, you're at the lowest level. So a tornado, usually a severe thunderstorm, can be considered a microscale event because it's a very localized area, and then you kind of work your way out. So again, the severe thunderstorm warning, the tornado warning, is a micro. This whole line of thunderstorms, we could consider that almost kind of a mesoscale kind of system, so it's that medium range. And then we get a larger scale system, which is the cold front, your typical high and low, which we call a synoptic scale event, which is kind of almost not quite hemispheric in size, but just a little bit less than that. So your typical high and low pressure and cold front is what's called a synoptic scale system. So you kind of start with the synoptic scale, you have the cold front. That's our lifting mechanism. It's our catalyst for a lot of this. It's on the western edge of this line of thunderstorms. And then as the front, there's usually a kind of a mini kind of boundary out in front. As they kind of come together, you start to get the more mesoscale systems. And then as you work your way even further lower, and then you get the more localized areas, you get those micro systems, which then prompt the warnings.
As it starts to move eastward, who's in the cone of uncertainty, if you will? What should they be ready for as we progress in time?
Well, I would say if you're in Mercer County right now, northern Mercer County, New Jersey, Bucks County, that cell is moving toward you. But what we're concerned about as well is that these storms to the south and west, the storms that you see moving into Montgomery County right now, right here, this cluster, a few of these could become severe. And what we've seen so far today is that if any of these storms turn severe, there's a very good chance that they will also become tornado warned as well. We have a live look right now from Plymouth Meeting as these storms move close to that area. You can see you're not going to be able to really see this coming. If it does head that direction, it's getting very dark. There have been a lot of prefrontal showers with this, stabilizing the atmosphere. We're seeing some rain in Philadelphia right now. Usually that helps inhibit more convective development or more supercell development. We have not seen it do so, though, yet today. There was a lot to overcome. We had a lot of cloud cover. It was cool. It was just not a perfect day for severe weather. Oftentimes, we talk about it all the time. Storms love heat and they love moisture. We didn't have that much heat today. We had some moisture, but it wasn't a perfect environment for storms. But this front producing enough lift, and there's enough shear in the atmosphere that these storms have been able to overcome all of those inhibiting factors basically and blow up as they have today. So I'm still very concerned about this line. You can see there's a little bit of a separation between a few of these severe supercells near Baltimore and DC and these severe storms up in Bucks County in the Lehigh Valley. There's not much going on in between. The question is that going to fill in, and will we see the severe threat in the city of Philadelphia as we go through the remainder of this evening? And that remains to be seen.
Yeah, and Kate, I'm in the same mindset as you, especially with what we just had with just the reflectivity there out towards Berks County and those kind of areas, kind of now moving into where just north of there is where we've had a lot of we've had multiple warnings for tornadoes. So do the conditions are they ripe enough? Pushing further to the south, we were talking about how large of a scale system is this. Are the conditions ripe enough in western Montgomery County, in parts of Chester County, that as those thunderstorms push out of Berks and now into Montco and Chester County and then towards Delco, is the atmosphere robust enough there that these could spin up as well? Because we've seen not that far away, the atmosphere is primed, and we've now had multiple warnings. So that's kind of my next area of concern. Not just, obviously we're talking about the edge of those tornado warnings, Kate, like you said, Hopewell there in Mercer County, New Jersey, but then where we're not even seeing any warnings, are we going to potentially see those storms blossom in parts of Chester, Montgomery, and Delaware County? And
I think there's a very good chance that they will, because we've seen these storms fire up. They were west of the Poconos and west of the Lehigh Valley. They were not severe. They did not have tornado warnings. And then once they moved into this atmosphere that's just slightly more ripe for development, they blew up very, very quickly. So any of these storms we see back here, there are a couple cells west of Berks County, a couple areas of heavy rain right now moving into northern Montgomery County. Will these storms fire up over even parts of South Jersey later on this evening? Camden, Gloucester counties there, Burlington County, where not a lot has happened, but we have had some showers trying to come through and stabilize the atmosphere. Right now, the most dangerous cell by far that we have is just north of Doylestown and Buckingham right now. It's this one over Bucks County. It is just east of Plumstead. Plumsteadville right now, the worst has just shifted to the east of your area. The worst of this is about to move toward Lahaska, Solebury Township, Bucks County. It's moving through Tinicum right now. You can see it's just starting to shift east of these areas. So the zone here between Plumstead and Solebury, likely the area that is getting hit hardest right now. Right along 202 there as well, you can see some of that starting to descend a little bit further to the south. This will eventually cross 202. So again, if you're in any of these areas in Bucks County, this will be very quickly shifting into northern Delaware. But right now the threat is for northeastern Bucks County, where two tornado warnings are still in effect. One slightly further to the north and one for the southern areas, including, again, Solebury Township, Tinicum Township. That goes until 6 o'clock this evening. And I will have to say, I do believe that so our first one is set to expire at 5:45, so in just another couple of minutes. I think that most likely it will probably be allowed to expire at 5:45. There hasn't been any indication that they will be continuing that beyond 5:45. And then, of course, the situation that Kate, you were just talking about with Plumsteadville, we're talking about Lahaska in there as well, Solebury Township, just a little bit north of Doylestown, the Buckingham area just outside of this tornado warning. That one is going for another 15 minutes. That will be going until 6 o'clock. And there, again, hasn't been any indication that they are going to be canceling that early. And it doesn't look like there would be any reason right now for them to do that, because the velocity signature there that you're taking a look at on Storm Scan 3 still relatively good. It looks like there is still a pretty good chance that we could have at least radar indicated rotation there. So I can't see any reason for them to be canceling that particular tornado warning before 6 o'clock, at least as of right now. Right, I don't either. I mean, you can see as we zoom out, even if you're unfamiliar with reading velocity layers in radar, you can see here that blob of green looks out of place, right? It's not supposed to be there. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at an area of rotation here just south of Tinicum, north of Buckingham, right over Plumsteadville right now, moving through Bucks County with an active tornado warning. I do also want to mention, even though it's slightly out of our area, another tornado warning has just been issued up near Peterson, New Jersey, Bloomfield, and near Newark, New Jersey as well. This is moving very quickly toward New York City. So I know we have people in our region that commute to and from New York City. Very dangerous, very well-traveled roads being encompassed by these tornado warnings. And even the storms that don't have active tornado warnings are very dangerous storms with the risk for flash flooding and the risk for severe damaging winds. They have canceled or allowed the severe thunderstorm warnings to expire and the tornado warning further to the north. So now as of 5:45 this evening, we have one active tornado warning in our area. It's for portions of northeastern Bucks County. You see it right there on your screen, including the cities of Bedminster, Dublin, New Hope, and Nockamixon. Solebury Township as well, Plumsteadville, all shifting to the east and quickly about to move into portions of northern New Jersey into Hunterdon County right now. Yeah, and just to kind of, we were talking earlier that this looked like it was some reports maybe of hail of up to 1 inch. It does look like right now that it looks like the hail size maybe around 3/4 of an inch. So that means that we might actually are not seeing those strong updrafts anymore. It could be an indication that it's starting to weaken just a little bit. Not enough for anyone to
let their guard down. The rotation is still there, but maybe without those really strong updrafts, at least the hail factor maybe is dying down a little bit, which is some good news for us, but still strong gusty winds, and still, again, that chance for with that rotation for there to potentially be a tornado as well. And just kind of timing this out just a little bit, just thinking about things, it looks right now like it will be near the Lambertville area around 5:50, 5:51 or so, and then maybe as we head then into Mercer County, New Jersey, talking about Pennington and Hopewell just a little bit past 6 o'clock, right around 6:06. So about 6 minutes after our tornado warning expire, the worst of this should be moving into northern Mercer County. So hopefully by the time we do get past 6 o'clock, those folks in the Hopewell area around Pennington, while this still could be a very strong storm, a very dangerous situation, hopefully at that point the tornado threat has diminished enough that we are not talking about any potential for tornadoes moving then into Mercer County, New Jersey.
Let's hope not. And I mean, it still will be a very dangerous cell, but hopefully the tornado warning or the rotation will weaken enough that it's not going to continue to produce that. One thing to mention too is that behind this, you can see this, there's another cell right here over eastern Berks County, which is not tornado warned, but it's going to move over the same areas that have already gotten tons of rain and lightning. We're going to get another round of heavy downpours over upper Bucks County, Richland Township, Quakertown, right over 476. The same areas that have already gotten hit hard by this first storm will likely get another round of heavy rainfall. And what we're looking at here is the storm track feature on StormScan 3. And you can see we have some early rotation detected further to the south. Now, where you see the red shading here, that's an indication of some stronger, the red arrows, that's an indication of some stronger rotation. That's why we have this tornado warning in Bucks County. But even further to the south here over portions of Chester County, some indication that there may be some rotation on the southern end of that cell. So that's something we will be continuing to watch out for. It looks as though the storms that are near D.C. and Baltimore are going to miss Delaware, hopefully to the south, which is good news. But you can see still a lot more to get through before the evening is over. And again, the question is, does this fill in once this first cell with the tornado warning shifts out of Bucks County and into New Jersey? Do we then have to watch for this lower zone, this more southern area of storms, to perhaps become severe closer to Philadelphia and the suburbs? It looks like at the very least we're going to be seeing some heavy downpours. But the question remains, are these storms going to be able to form and become severe? And that still remains to be seen. But we do remain under a tornado watch for the entire area until 9 o'clock tonight. And Matt was talking earlier about synoptic scale storms and mesoscale storms. So synoptic scale, large scale, that's why a watch is issued, right? So you have the warm front lifting through, the cold front coming in behind it. Large scale storm, this entire area, conditions are primed for tornado or severe thunderstorm development. There's your watch. We get warnings issued when a mesoscale storm develops, a small scale storm where the severe weather is actually happening. So right now, the most dangerous storm is over Bucks County. And we're now looking live from the CBS3 mobile weather watcher, which is 309.
At 309. So we've talked about 309 multiple times today. We've had multiple rounds of heavy rain pass over 309. We've seen a tornado warning come across that area as well. It's an area that is really well traveled, especially during this time of the day, to and from the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos. People that don't want to take the Northeast Extension sometimes jump over and they get on 309. So if you know anyone that is driving around on 309 right now, this is probably what they're experiencing, what the mobile weather watcher is looking at. The windshield wipers are going, you're getting the spray, you're getting the heavy rain, potentially, at least at times. And again, so right now, it doesn't look terrible, but we have seen plenty of times here today, parts of 309 have definitely been a mess. So
right,
again,
and it looks like another band of heavy rain is about to just shift over that area. And I'm not sure who's driving the mobile weather watcher, but please be safe out there.
Absolutely.
And let us know if you see any damage, because that is that's our photographer, Jim. Okay. Jim, be safe. If you see any damage out there, let us know, because this is the same area that first tornado warned cell moved right over Quakertown, right over Richland. I'm not seeing any branches or anything down on 309, which of course is a good thing, but it does look very, very wet and very slow out there. So again, recapping our breaking weather news, a tornado warning does remain in effect for portions of eastern Bucks County. This does include the city of New Hope, Plumstead, Solebury, and Tinicum. Tornado warning goes until 6 o'clock, so that's another 10 minutes on that tornado warning. And here is the cell that has prompted it. It started to shift just slightly into portions of New Jersey, but right now, if you're right along 263, 179, Lambertville, Stockton, Solebury, these are the areas that are getting hit hardest by heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, dangerous cloud to ground lightning likely with this storm. And again, the potential for a tornado. We'll go ahead and try to pull up the velocity so we can see if it's still looking just as strong. It does look like it's still there, but it's starting to become just a little bit more of a broad rotation, hopefully weakening enough that they will allow this warning to expire. But it is definitely still a pretty clear velocity signature where you see that green right around Lambertville,
and
right around Solebury as well.
So there is another, we just got another tornado warning has been, so all right, now we have a little bit of a different situation. The Philadelphia, so at 5:51, the tornado warning that was just issued for Hunterdon County, New Jersey, Mercer County, New Jersey, and Bucks County that goes until 6:15. We now have an observed tornado. There's been an observed tornado according to the National Weather Service. The report coming in at 5:51 with a quote considerable damage. A confirmed dangerous tornado located near the Lumberville area, or 16 miles northwest of Trenton at this point. And so this tornado warning, again, for Hunterdon, Mercer, and Bucks County, again, slightly getting away from us, but an observed tornado now was located near the Lumberville area, which is just 15, 16 miles northwest of Trenton, and that was moving southeast at 25 miles an hour.
So now we're seeing that rotation start to move a little further to the southeast, and you can see as we track these storms in real time, you can see where they're going, and the warnings can be adjusted as such. At first they were moving to the east. Now you can see that threat has started to dive to the southeast, so much of eastern Bucks County is now included in a brand new tornado warning. It has just been issued. It goes until 6:15, and as Matt said, an observed tornado with a considerable, quote, considerable damage threat has been spotted. We've seen a tornado in this area. There's no word as to whether it's still on the ground as of now, but here's the area that we're looking at. This includes almost all of northeastern Bucks County, including the city of Doylestown, including Newtown Grant, including Ewing, Lower Makefield, and it almost goes right toward Levittown and Bristol. So this is something we're going to have to keep a very close eye on as it starts to get pretty close to I-95 within the next hour or so. So 2 active tornado warnings, the first one to the north until 6 o'clock, but a new one has just been issued right here for portions of eastern Bucks County, parts of Hunterdon and Mercer counties in New Jersey. That one goes until 6:15 p.m. tonight. So let's take a look at the cell that has prompted that warning. And again, you can see it's starting to move. Basically, it's going to continue moving to the south and east. And you said 25?
25 miles an hour for this one as well. It's all kind of embedded within that same line that we've been talking about. So again, moving at the same speed, 25 miles an hour.
So this will bring it near Hood by 5:54, Moore by 6:01, Titusville 6:06, Washington Crossing by about 6:09, and into Ewing by 6:18. This is a very dangerous storm with an active warning. 2 active tornado warnings have been prompted for this, basically the same cell. As we track its motion, the warnings get reissued or adjusted if it does look like it's moving in a different direction. It now looks like it's moving to the south and east. So once again, if you are in eastern Bucks County, if you're in Doylestown, if you're in Tinicum, head to your basement, away from windows. This is not just a radar-indicated tornado. This is an observed tornado near Lumberville with considerable damage threats as it continues to push through portions of Bucks County. Get away from the windows. Don't try to take a video. Don't try to take photos. Low to the ground. Protect your head. Get the kids safe as well. Don't panic. Just stay safe as this severe weather rolls through. It's moving east, southeast at about 25 miles per hour. And we'll take once again a closer look at where this cell is. But right now, anybody in this area from Delaware, West Amwell, Solebury Township, and further south, Upper Makefield, Newtown, Grant, Ewing, this is on a direct course to continue moving south, eventually crossing over 295. Lots of lightning, heavy downpours, the risk for flash flooding as well. But of course, the most dangerous impact of this cell right now is the potential for a tornado. And it may even be an active tornado on the ground. We haven't gotten word as to whether it's still on the ground yet, but this was an observed tornado in this area, which has prompted this warning.
And Kate, I just wanted to see one thing on StormScan 3. I wanted to see if we could pull up a product which we call the correlation coefficient. And usually what this is able to do, it actually is a product that measures the size of the debris, or it measures the size of particles in the atmosphere, and it is able to be used as a way to kind of decide if there's what we call a debris ball or a debris signature within the system. Before I do that, I actually want to just circle this area right here.
Yeah, look at that.
That, as we've been talking about all day, we've been talking about these hook echoes, we've been talking about inflow notches, we've been throwing a lot of terminology at you, but I have to tell you that this is, when you look in a textbook, this is pretty close. I won't say that it is exactly textbook what you see when you get a hook echo, but this is the general, more than just the general kind of shape. You're talking about the system moving where the bigger blob is, with that yellow and the red kind of off to the north and the right of where that kind of little ball is there, with the little bit of connector going on, and that is typically right in there is where you will see that tornado itself.
Yeah, right in that notch, right in that bend is the area that's likely under the greatest threat right now.
Exactly.
And that is northeastern Bucks County right now in that tornado warning, and just about to shift into southern Hunterdon County and then into Mercer County, New Jersey. So this is just east of Buckingham. You can see where that little hook echo is. There is our tornado warning right now. We're going to try to get that correlation coefficient up for you to see if we can see any sort of a debris ball indicated. That would indicate that a tornado is potentially on the ground or has been on the ground in that area. But again, let's talk about the areas that are most impacted right now. And again, in that little bit of a bend, that's where you find Lambertville. It's just east of Lahaska, just moving to the south and east. So if you're in Washington Crossing, this is moving pretty quickly toward your area as well. On that southeast track, Washington Crossing, probably the next large town in the line of that hook echo. Also Ewing, New Jersey, in that same path of destruction. And you are seeing that the colors to the north.
I was going to say, at least right now, the kind of the good news is where we were just talking about, where the if we go back and kind of let's circle where, if we can go back, and it got a little bit blobby on us, but if we're able,
if you pull up the precipitation type, oh, there you go.
If we're able, so what we can do is we kind of circle where that potential kind of hook is, and then we can kind of go back and overlay. Then on top of that, we'll overlay our correlation coefficient again, and see if there is anything that kind of overlays or kind of goes back and forth. And the good news is right now, when we have that uniform color there, we're not seeing any values that actually, that red typically is a value of about 1, and with a correlation coefficient, the lower the number, the less uniform your debris or your particle is. So when we have a situation like this where you have a typical kind of all red, it's typically around a correlation coefficient of 1, the good news is that typically is rain. So while we might have the potential there for the observed tornado, like the National Weather Service was talking about, there does not look anyway from a radar standpoint that we're seeing a lot of lifted debris, which means we're not seeing a lot of shingles, we're not seeing a lot of maybe wood or anything like that, pieces of a building. So that's some good news for us. Again, this is a situation where there is an observed tornado, but at least from a radar perspective, we're not seeing a ton in the way of maybe large flying debris.
And Matt, we just have a new warning. It's a flash flood warning now for parts of this area. This is for central Bucks County and parts of Mercer County, Hunterdon, and Somerset County. You can see how heavy the rain is with this, that bright purple there. 1 to 2 inches has already fallen across this warned area. Additional rainfall amounts of a ½ inch to an inch are likely. Flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So in addition to 2 active tornado warnings, one has just expired now at 6 o'clock.
Actually, I just turned that off because I wanted to show everybody. So you were talking about the flash flood warning. I just wanted to show just particularly the flash flood warning.
It's pretty much the exact same area as the tornado warning as well.
You are watching severe weather coverage on CBS3 Eyewitness News. It is now 6 p.m. It has been, and it still is, a very active weather situation around the region. We are here to keep you safe and keep you up to date. Kate Bilo, Matt Peterson, Jessica Cartalia. I'm Yuki Washington.
Guys, I have a question for you. I'm looking at PEMA, and they said that a radar-confirmed tornado in southeast Bucks County, and you guys are talking about this, and I know it usually takes a couple days or so for them to confirm it.
Right.
Radar confirmed. What does that mean exactly? I haven't heard that before.
That does not make much sense to me. Usually what they'll use as confirmation is an observed tornado to confirm what they've seen on radar.
Sure.
Or maybe using a correlation coefficient to see some sort of a debris ball or something along those lines. That would be my guess as to what they mean there. They have maybe multiple levels of confirmation. They've seen some sort of debris, they've seen a video or a photo or a That's the word I'm looking for. A train spotter has actually seen the tornado on the ground. So they use multiple levels of confirmation. What they'll then do is go back and assess the damage to find out how strong the tornado was, to give it a level on the EF scale, and then to also basically say how long it was on the ground for, the path width, things like that. But we do know that a confirmed tornado has touched down in eastern Bucks County this afternoon.
Yeah, and that was the one that prompted this most recent tornado warning. And again, kind of to piggyback, Jess, of what you're saying, when they issued that warning, they said it was observed, which leads me to believe that there was actually eyeballs on it. Whether it was a train spot, they did not say if it was a train spotter or if they got a video from someone that they were able to confirm. But if it does say that it was an observed tornado, that I would assume that means that there was someone that actually saw a funnel touch the ground, and we have
never seen an emergency management agency do that before, and that's why I thought also we should mention that we have been keeping up to date with the number of outages, and surprisingly there are not a ton yet in Lehigh and Bucks, but of course we're continuing to monitor that as well.
Important note to keep your devices charged at all times. No doubt about it, so you can get the information.
Because if your power goes out, you have the CBS3 weather app, and we will obviously, you'll get the updates from that as you need, and you'll kind of be up to date on everything that's happening.
Yep, and we will continue to track these as long as we need to track them. This is a very dangerous storm. It has now a flash flood warning associated with it and an active tornado warning. That one to the north has been allowed to expire as of 6 o'clock, but the tornado warning that has been issued further to the south has basically replaced it. It's the same cell that is exhibiting that rotation. This goes until 6:15. Right now it's 6:02, and there's been a cluster of cells that have been moving first through the Lehigh Valley, Lehigh County, Berks County. That same line has now shifted east into Bucks County, and we've been tracking these the entire time, and they have been slightly weakening and then re-strengthening. This one particular cell, though, has been the most impressive, the most dangerous all day, that has moved right over portions of upper Bucks County and is now shifting a little bit further into New Jersey, Mercer County, and Hunterdon County. Hopewell next in line, and also cities like Washington Crossing and Ewing in the path of danger, really, as this storm continues to move to the south and east.
And then, of course, just issued as well, we have the flash flood warning. We talked about heavy rain throughout the day today. That, of course, going a little bit longer because the rain will come up and then it will take a while to recede. But we do have that flash flood warning also until 10 o'clock tonight. And that does also include Bucks, Hunterdon, Mercer, and also even a little bit further north there, Somerset County, New Jersey, too. So a very active situation there, obviously, in parts of Bucks now, and moving kind of into that central to northern part of New Jersey, too.
And Matt, the language that the National Weather Service has just used, at 6:01 p.m., a confirmed large and dangerous tornado was located over New Hope. Confirmed large and dangerous tornado located over New Hope at about 3 minutes ago, 6:01 p.m., 11 miles northwest of Trenton, moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. So this is an observed tornado, considerable damage threat, hail up to 1 inch in diameter. The warning goes until 6:15. And again, according to the National Weather Service, as of 6:01, a confirmed large and dangerous tornado was located over New Hope, Bucks County. And of course, that's right there along the river.
Yeah, so Lambertville is on the New Jersey side, and New Hope is basically is right here. And so that's where it was at 6:01, so just about 3 minutes ago. And as we head a little bit further south, I'm assuming that is what we're talking about right there.
So you can see it's moving to the south and east now, more so than to the east. It's moving southeast about 25 miles per hour.
And you can see right here, in this general vicinity, that is where the tornado is. You have a really
right there.
It's again. So again, you have green moving towards the radar, red moving away from the radar, and they're almost wrapping around one another. And you can see the green extending into the red and the red extending into the green, and a tornado will be spinning in counterclockwise fashion, which I keep wanting to walk up to the walls. But what you would be looking at here is, again, the green is kind of moving this way, your red would be kind of coming around, and you'd end up with,
so you can imagine
the spin going on. Again, it'd be counterclockwise, and it would be right there. So that, again, would make sense if it was in New Hope, the Lambertville area, only 4 minutes ago, moving at 25 miles an hour to the south. Now right along 29, Again, anybody that River Road over there in Mercer County, and also River Road on the Bucks County side of the Delaware River as well. That's Route 32, and again 29 on the other side. Again, Kate, we've been talking about thoroughfares all day long.
Absolutely.
Who is driving these areas? Again, this is not that far from where I grew up. I know a lot of people that drive 29, or you're moving from around New Hope, Upper Makefield. You're going from there back down towards the Newtown area. You're going towards Ben Salem. And again, these are easy ways for people to kind of move at 6 o'clock at night. This is exactly where people are going to be driving.
Absolutely. And again, this is a confirmed large and dangerous tornado that was over New Hope at 6:01. You can see it moving to the south and east. The worst of it, the actual center of that potential tornado that could still be on the ground as we speak, is now over Mercer County. Another tornado warning has been issued now, encompassing, it looks as though it's encompassing the entire area of Mercer County right now. This is now a radar indicated tornado. Portions of Burlington, Hunterdon, Mercer, Middlesex, Monmouth counties, and still portions of Bucks County now until 6:45. So now they're saying at 6:06, a large and extremely dangerous tornado was located over Washington Crossing, or 9 miles northwest of Trenton, moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. So that's where we had been telling you, Washington Crossing next in line, then Ewing, then Prospect Heights. Right over Washington Crossing now, or within the next couple of minutes, then Ewing by about 6:22 or slightly before, Prospect Heights, and then headed toward Trenton. Of course, a very large city there at 6:34 p.m. This is a large and extremely dangerous tornado, very likely on the ground right now in Mercer County, right along the border with Bucks County. If you are in this area, we can't stress it enough, please seek shelter immediately. This storm is likely creating considerable damage, bringing down trees, tree branches, power lines, also creating possible damage to homes and structures. Possible threat to life as well. You want to be in an interior room, in a basement, away from windows, cover your head, and stay there until the threat passes. This is moving southeast at about 25 miles per hour, and there you can see the bright colors, the green and the red there, an indication of where the center of rotation is, where that tornado is very likely on the ground right now, near Washington Crossing, and moving to the southeast at 25 miles per hour.
Yeah, so our dangerous situation continues to, unfortunately, right now, get worse before it gets better. But again, it's the thing that makes me nervous about this, Kate, is the considerable damage.
Yes, that wording.
You know, and anytime that you hear anything that is considerable, things that say a large tornado, an extremely dangerous tornado. Obviously, all tornadoes are dangerous. It's when the wording gets to the point of the National Weather Service, when they issue their tornado warnings, whether it's observed or whether it is a radar indication, something like that, they usually try not to get overzealous with their wording unless they absolutely have to. So when you have a situation like this where they're saying a confirmed large and dangerous tornado, that was at 6:03, that's what they called it, and then at 6:06, they were saying a large and extremely dangerous tornado. When you get that kind of wording from the National Weather Service, again, where they don't, I won't say they downplay it, but they try to stay very kind of even-keeled about their wording, that gets me a little bit worried about what we're actually potentially seeing on the ground. Earlier we were talking about, hey, we love our weather watchers to take it. Do not go outside. If you are in Lower Bucks County, if you are in Mercer County, New Jersey, and you are in the tornado warning box, do not go outside. Do not try to take a picture of this. Don't try to get in your car and outrun it, because you're not going to. I know it's only moving at 25 miles an hour. You'll think in your head, but trust me, if you get caught in it, you don't want to be out there in this kind of situation. You want to be inside. You want to be getting down into your basement, especially in the Washington Crossing area, like we were just talking about, getting then down towards the Trenton area. Anybody along River Road, Route 32 in the Bucks County side of things, or right along 29 in the New Jersey side of Mercer County, they're right along the Delaware River, you need to be in your safe place immediately. You should have been there already. If you're not, get there right now.
If you're in Ewing, if you're in Lawrence, if you're in Trenton even, now is the time to seek shelter. Now is the time to take this very seriously, because again, as Matt's saying, we don't see wording like this from the National Weather Service very often. And we've had a number of tornado touchdowns so far this summer, We've never seen them say a large and extremely dangerous with considerable damage. This is wording we don't see very often in this area. This leads us to believe that this is on the ground, creating considerable amounts of damage as we speak. Very, very dangerous threat to life and property right now, and it's moving mainly Oak County, New Jersey right now. That's the area, almost the entirety of Mercer County is right now under a tornado warning. You can see the bright colors there, the rotation signature as that moves on through, and look at that, Matt's just showing me the correlation coefficient. Let's see if we can pull that up again.
Yeah, let's see if we can pull it up, because before we were talking about kind of that uniform picture, and as I just pulled it up on my phone, it's definitely a little bit. So there it is, right there, where Upper Makefield is. That is what we're looking at. You see those kind of light colors. Your number is getting smaller. So as I kind of pull it up here on my phone to kind of get an idea, we're getting now values of right around 0.77. So we are 0.3 of a point below 1. And if you remember when I was talking about this before, if we're at a value of 1, everything is uniform. As the numbers go down, the debris or the size of the particle becomes much less uniform, typically indicating that we're talking about either tree branches, we're talking about shingles from a house, we could be talking about a 2x4, something like that. Anything that is not uniform in size is really what you're looking at right here. So just to kind of go back to what you were asking about before, you were talking about, is it radar confirmed? Is it observed? Is it radar indicated? This would be a really, really good way to call something radar confirmed.
Interesting. Okay.
When you look at that, that is showing you that there is some sort of a debris cloud or a debris ball which is moving as the tornado moves. So if a tornado stays on the ground for an extended period of time, it's going to bring with it debris, it's going to bring with it pieces of, again, shingles, branches, things like that, and it's going to bring that along with it, and that's what a correlation coefficient shows us. That's a way to look and say, this is happening right now, this is on the ground right now.
Let's try to, go ahead. Go ahead,
I was going to say that wording that you just used, because you said, you guys cover this all the time, but you said this is kind of unprecedented, that you have not heard verbiage like that before.
It reminds me of when I worked in the Midwest and I worked in the South. This is the kind of wording that you get. And I don't want to speculate into what kind of situation this would be. These are kind of wordings when you get, EF3 size tornadoes. You get something that is definitely on the larger side. I don't want to speculate that this is what is happening now. That's not what I'm saying. But it reminds me of situations that I were in where you do get considerable and substantial damage that goes on. And that's kind of what it reminds me of working in the South and working in the Midwest, and you get these kind of systems.
Gotcha.
Let's try to take a live look outside if we can. I think photojournalist Jim McHugh is in the mobile weather watcher. Justin, if you can, there we go. And where is he in Montgomery County? And someone tell me in my ear where.
Jim, please be.
He was on 309, I believe.
Don't go to.
Okay, he's headed toward Doylestown on 202.
Okay. So kind of following the trajectory.
Let's
of that
keep
storm.
him on the western side.
Yes.
Of this.
He's listening.
No, I don't know. And Jim is great, and he'll make sure that he stays safe. And we're all hoping, Jim, don't put yourself out there. Just follow it on the western side.
Yeah.
And 202 is great. And you go toward the Doylestown area, you'll probably catch up to this and kind of be on the backside of it. And that's a good place to be because it's kind of moving to the south and east, kind of away from Doylestown now. So again, Jim wants to go there, that's fine, but let's keep him, out of harm's way as much as we can.
Speaking of harm's way, all those lightning strikes, that's got to be very concerning.
Very concerning as well. Lightning, of course, incredibly dangerous. Hopefully everybody is inside and safe. Right now, the biggest threat is the tornado warning and the tornado that is very likely on the ground right now. And as we were saying, the National Weather Service doesn't use words like large tornado unless they have eyes on it, that there is a large tornado on the ground causing considerable damage. That is an indication that this is actually happening. It's not just radar indicated. It's not just rotation signatures. We now have confirmed reports of a large, dangerous, extremely dangerous tornado on the ground that moved over Bucks County and has now moved into Mercer County. And this kind of shows just how high the storm is building.
Yeah, so you can see it's a little bit hard to tell in the box, but what you'd want to see here is there's actually an extra little kind of darker red shaft in between where all the really kind of bright red is. It's almost like a maroon color. And that is where you're getting some of the stronger updrafts. It's where you're getting some of where the clouds are kind of building the fastest. And that is feet. So Kate, you can see that the tops of, yes, right in there is where we're getting probably the strongest wind. It's where we're getting the highest returns on radar that are going up to almost, it looks like almost 30,000 feet at this point.
So this is showing you how high the storm is building with the updrafts cycling within the cell, right? So this is very likely a tornado on the ground. Also very likely some large hail. When you see updrafts like that, hail can be circulating within that storm. All the lightning close to the ground, that is dangerous cloud to ground lightning. The worst of this is over Mercer County, New Jersey right now, but again, Upper Makefield, this entire area right along the border of Bucks County and Mercer County is the area that's in the worst of it right now, in the danger zone, but it's actually starting to shift just a little bit further eastward into parts of Mercer County, which basically the entire county right now is under a tornado warning. We did get word that as of 6:01 p.m., about 15 minutes ago, there was a large and dangerous, extremely dangerous tornado located over New Hope. Then it moved over Washington Crossing, now very likely right about here, where you see those brighter returns, just about to push into Ewing, right there, where you see the delineation between the green and the darker red. That's an indication of where that potential tornado is right now. And we've showed you several different layers. So we've looked at the reflectivity, very heavy rain, lots of lightning, likely some large hail. This is velocity. So this shows basically winds wrapping around each other, shows the rotation of the storm. We also showed you a correlation coefficient, which shows what is very likely a debris cloud that has been spun up from this large tornado on the ground right now over parts of Mercer County. This is a very dangerous developing situation still.
And Kate, so the National Weather Service just a couple of minutes ago did say that they are extremely concerned about the Trenton metro area at this point. They're talking about a radar confirmed tornado, as we've been talking about, moving, that is on the ground, moving directly towards Trenton. So they are very concerned, the National Weather Service is right now, about the Trenton metro area. So again, we're talking about as we get inside of that 295 kind of box. So as you get over kind of into this area, so here's 295 on the north side of Trenton. Right now, the area where we're seeing probably the rotation is a little bit north of the Trenton area, north of 295, or even maybe now just kind of crossing 295 towards Ewing. So again, yep, just north of 295, right in here. So north of the Ewing area. But again, this is moving almost directly southeast at about 25 miles an hour. And then what the National Weather Service is saying is they think that this is going to continue almost on that straight southeasterly trend, get inside of 295, and then it's almost a straight beeline, and it does not take long. Anybody that knows this area, you know that when you're at 295 to get to right into the middle of Trenton, it only takes you maybe a couple of minutes in a car. So this is going at a straight line at 25 miles an hour. So once it hits 295, which it looks like it's probably doing maybe even right now, it's not going to take very long to get directly into the inner city Trenton area. And again, when anything hits a large metro like that, it's always just going to never be good. There's so many buildings that are together. Kate, thank you for putting up the times here. So again, Ewing, 623, well, it's 619 right now. So again, 623 going through the Ewing area, 625, the Green Curve Heights area, which I'm not overly familiar with, but again, as we get closer to Trenton, Prospect Heights as well, and then 634 into Trenton proper. So again, the metro area, think of it as, again, these kind of suburbs. As you get a little bit further out to the northwest, maybe, we're getting into this area. And then, of course, Trenton proper right around 634. So definitely a very dangerous situation now setting up, coming across 295 and then moving towards Trenton.
And this storm is, like you said, Matt, moving very quickly, 25 miles per hour. You can see it creeping ever closer to the Trenton area right now. And again, the National Weather Service actually just stated they are very concerned about the Trenton metro, a very populated metro area. And this is a confirmed tornado on the ground moving toward Trenton right now. This is your advance warning. You don't have much time. If you're in Trenton, if you know someone, if you have friends, you have relatives, family members in the Trenton area, get them on the phone, send them a text, tell them to get into the basement. This is not anything to take lightly. This is a very serious matter. A dangerous, large, confirmed tornado on the ground headed toward the Trenton metro area will likely be there within the next 10 to 15 minutes. It's moving south and east from Ewing right toward Trenton right now, and it will continue to push to the south and east as we go through the rest of this evening. So at least for the next 15 minutes, this is your time to get to your safe space, get everybody inside, make sure you're where you need to be, because this storm will be very likely creating considerable amounts of damage as it tracks from Bucks County down into Mercer County, New Jersey, and right toward the Trenton metro area right now. We'll see if we can pull up the velocity once again for you. And here's what we're looking at. Again, this is continuing to push to the south and east. Right now, that hook, the area that we're most concerned about, right near Ewing, there it is there. It's moving to the southeast, again, at about 25 miles per hour. So once again, we'll track this out and time it out for you. You can see Trenton is right in the line of fire. This has not let up. This rotation signature has been with us for the better part of an hour from Bucks County all the way down into Mercer County, and now it is continuing on that same trajectory toward the Trenton area. Will likely be there by about 6:35 p.m. There's where it is right now.
Yeah, so definitely, Kate, this is, like you said, it's been on the ground for a while. We've been concerned about this particular cell for quite some time. It is one of multiple tornado warnings that we've had so far here on this Thursday afternoon. So again, right now it's 6:21. We're timing this out to be in the Ewing area right around 6:24. So again, it's 22 right now, 24. Think of it as being right on top of Ewing currently. So that means that it's moving right now right across 295. It's going to continue in that southeastward trajectory at a 25-mile-an-hour clip. So 626 Parkway Village, 630 Prospect Heights, and then 635 into Trenton, and then also 639 around the Hamilton area. So this is been a very dangerous situation since we got this particular tornado warning that did say that it was a confirmed tornado, or I should say it was an observed tornado when we first got this particular warning.
We have had a couple of tornado touchdowns. They've mainly been EF1, EF0 tornadoes. This one, a large and extremely dangerous tornado on the ground. We'll have to go back and see after the fact, but this is something that we don't see very often. This is a very rare circumstance, and you really need to take this extra seriously, even more so than a regular tornado warning.
Yeah, and I just wanted to see real quick if we were getting any reports of hail. Again, like most of these, even though we've had these strong updrafts, and there have been the ideas that maybe we could get inch diameter hail, not getting a ton of reports of that. So we're not adding on top of it with hail. But again, this is, of course, an extremely dangerous situation. Here is our shear track. So again, this is where we've been monitoring the spin within this storm as we've gone over, the last hour or so, Kate, as you've been saying, we've kind of been watching all of this. Yeah. So to kind of give you an idea of where this started and where we are now. So there's we have the Richland area, and if we should be able to measure out just how far we have the shear track has been monitored. So just around the Richland area, let's go all the way past 2. We're talking about almost 30 miles. So that at least Storm Scan 3 is estimating a shear track right now, where this has at least been showing some kind of atmospheric spin, if not being on the ground for the last 30 miles.
So they'll go back and assess the damage after the fact, but if this tornado has been on the ground for 30 miles, that is something that, again, is nearly unprecedented in our area.
And it probably hasn't been. If we just take a quick step to the wall, you can kind of see where it probably has been on the ground since about here,
shading,
right there where that darker shading is. But Kate, look, we have a little bit of darker shading north of Buckingham as well, right kind of in there. Mm-hmm. So right around the Bedminster area. How many times did you say Bedminster earlier today? Right. We talked about it a lot. Plumstead, we talked about that a lot about a half an hour ago. So again, it wouldn't be surprising if maybe we saw it touch down and then it made another kind of touchdown here, starting right around 202, coming across from Buckingham towards New Hope, and then that darker shading has extended all the way into Mercer County. We've actually, even within the darker shading, another area of even darker shading compared to that. So right now, it really wouldn't be overly shocking if it started around 202 there, right around the Buckingham area, and has stayed on the ground all the way now past 295, Kate.
And we just got a report from the National Weather Service 1 minute ago. Alex from the National Weather Service says the rotation is strengthening again. New tornado development possible near the I-295 and Route 1 area north of Trenton within the next few minutes.
So that's right in here, right by Lawrence Township. So right
where you see that
right in there, and then there it is, right? Like you just said, there's that even lighter pink shading.
Route 1.
Well, I can't read exactly what the East Darlington Road.
I don't know.
But again, right, so either way, right here, right along 295 and Route 1, and that's what the National Weather Service is saying now. So it's on the back side of this. So if we have, I'm not quite sure if they're saying that the leading edge is not where we're talking.
Yeah, it almost sounds like they're expecting
so it's right in here, and then there's another area, if you zoom out, there's another kind of spot just a little bit still off to the north and west, where there's maybe some broad rotation on the backside of this storm as well. So again, but Route 1 and 295, right there around Lawrence Township in the Lawrenceville area, that right now is what the National Weather Service is saying, that potentially the strengthening of the rotation is starting to happen. So that is what we're going to continue to monitor as well. And then there, Kate, is the storm that you were talking about. I was reading, it looks like they're potentially up to 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts, it looks like, with that particular system kind of around the Montgomeryville area. So right in there,
right here.
There it is, right along, again, 202.
A message from Roberta. She's down in Virginia. She says it just came through Fredericksburg, Virginia. Was bad for a minute, but didn't last long. Lots of rain, heavy winds, plenty of ice as well. Thought it was going to break my windows, took out all the power.
Wow.
So the scope of this is unbelievable.
Yeah, this is a large front,
Bethany Beach as well.
Yeah.
Can you kind of reset for us? And also, we want to let you know that we are going to continue with this coverage to make sure that everyone stays safe. But if you would like to switch over to the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell, it is being broadcast on our sister station, CW Philly. But Kate, you both keep saying unprecedented, unprecedented. What is different about this than what we might typically see in a July tornado warning? Well,
generally speaking, when we get a tornado warning in our area, it's usually a brief spin-up tornado, usually an isolated tornado. We don't usually see a tornado that stays on the ground for more than a mile or two, usually an EF0 or an EF1. Of course, we don't know. We can only speculate what this storm is producing right now. But when we hear large and extremely dangerous tornado on the ground, in a populated part of our area like New Hope, like Ewing, like Trenton, New Jersey, this is something that we don't see very often, with one cell producing a large and, again, extremely dangerous tornado. Not something that we deal with very often, at least in this area. And the good news is we had a lot of advance warning about this event. We had the tornado watch issued earlier today. We talked yesterday about the threat for severe weather and about the threat for an isolated tornado. So hopefully people were already getting their plans in place. They kind of knew this was coming. But again, this is not something you expect to see in a summertime thunderstorm, a large and dangerous tornado on the ground in the state of New Jersey or Pennsylvania.
Yeah, definitely not. Not with the words with large and extremely dangerous and
considerable damage.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's a little unprecedented for this time of year for us.
This is all incredible, especially after you're saying what we're expecting tomorrow and what's to come.
Right.
Yeah. After this, so, this is going to blow out any kind of heat and humidity, and we're going to have almost a crisp fall-like weather pattern to look forward to.
Wow.
Sometimes it takes explosive events to really usher in any kind of decent pattern change. We know all of July has been steamy. It's been stormy. We've had flash flooding. We do have a flash flood warning out there right now. Sometimes it takes an event like this to really start to shift the pattern a little bit.
Yeah, especially as you get into the dog days of summer. The hot and humid air, it doesn't like to move. It takes a lot to move it. And Kate, like you said, you sometimes need an extreme event to really push a lot of the highest heat and highest humidity out. The problem is that higher heat and higher humidity, while today maybe wasn't as bad as it was the last couple of days, it was all here already. Right. And something needed to push it out. And right now, the cold front that came to give us all that relief, unfortunately, we have to pay a little bit of a price, and we're paying a big price right now. A lot of folks, again, in New Jersey, we need to really kind of continue to monitor that extremely dangerous situation.
And what you're looking at right now, that purple shading, that is a very large, very intense supercell thunderstorm, very likely with a tornado on the ground, which is just passing north of Trenton right now, and Trenton, of course, is on the southwestern end of that, which tends to be sometimes the most dangerous part of a severe thunderstorm right now. So here's what we're currently looking at. Here is the rotation right around the Trenton area right now, and again, a very, very dangerous possible tornado on the ground moving toward the Trenton area as we speak.
I have this pit in my stomach knowing that, you know, for the evening news tonight, we will see pictures of the damage and people affected, and we know something can just blow through and cause significant damage when trees topple onto houses or onto cars. Right. And this is so significant that there has to be some pretty significant damage.
And that's one reason why you're not seeing a lot of our reporters right now, because it is so dangerous out there. We want to bring you those pictures when everything is safe. Sure. But right now, we have some serious concerns out there in our region, Kate.
That's right. I mean, you can see this big blob of green is what we're looking at. And right here around the Trenton area, you see that brighter color here, that bright red around the green. This is what the National Weather Service has been warning us about, that this storm was going to be moving basically right over the Trenton metro area, right around rush hour, 6:30 in the evening. This storm right now is moving over Trenton, and it possibly and very likely has a tornado on the ground as we speak. We've seen the possible debris cloud with this. We've seen the sheer track that we showed you moving across portions of Bucks County, and a possible track length of over 20, even 30 miles. The National Weather Service has just told us that they've seen the rotation strengthening again, and they expected some sort of a development near 295 and Route 1, and that's what you see here, that brighter shading just south of Lawrence as this cell continues to push to the south and to the east, and this is moving right over 295. Again, a possible large tornado on the ground as we speak. This is radar confirmed. This has been observed. We know that it has been out there and it has been on the ground. We don't know if it is still on the ground right now, but we are urging you to act as though it is. If you're in the Trenton area, if you're anywhere near 295, you need to be in your safe space. You need to be in a basement, interior room, away from windows. Please stay safe until this danger has passed. We will let you know when the danger has passed, but we still have active tornado warnings at least until 6:45 this evening for much of Mercer County in New Jersey and parts of Bucks County as well, although it has shifted east of Bucks County.
Yeah, so Kate, they did just remove Bucks County from the tornado warning, so they think that the threat has at least moved out of Bucks County for the time being, as it has moved further closer to the Trenton area. But Mercer, as well as Hunterdon counties, still involved in the tornado warning.
Yep, so everywhere you see this green, if we could pull up, I don't know, Matt, if you could pull up the active tornado warning and we can see where it is right now.
So, and I was going to say, the National Weather said they said they are going to continue this until 6:45. So we'll pull up where it is.
So this is going to be going at least until 6:45. Then what we'll have to see is, does the storm still have the amount of rotation? Does it still have a potential tornado on the ground as it continues to move east? Will this be extended further? Right now, it is moving very quickly into Burlington County. It's over Mercer County right now, but parts of Burlington County could get impacted by this as it continues to move eastward. You can see that those bright returns, an indication of potential large hail, very heavy rain, and again, just near Trenton, that's where we could possibly be seeing that inflow notch, the back edge of that large supercell thunderstorm moving through the Trenton metro area as we speak, and right along 295 as well. So that goes until 6:45 this evening. It's 6:36 right now. Again, I don't expect that will expire and that nothing will happen with this storm. I would expect that if they believe a tornado is on the ground, that we will see this be continued and perhaps extended into portions of New Jersey. We're also watching this cell as it moves from Montgomery County into Bucks County. That is getting a little bit closer to the city right now. Does not have rotation with it as of yet that we've heard, but this is one to really watch, just moving toward Abington over portions of lower Montgomery County and will impact the city.
And I will say, Kate, the National Weather Service was saying just about 7 minutes or so ago that they are closely monitoring that cell in Montgomery County because they are worried about it strengthening. They did not say that they were necessarily getting concerned about extra rotation or anything like that, but there are some indications that maybe it is starting to strengthen a little bit. And if you don't mind, I was going to think maybe we could see if we can get another vertical picture of that one to see where that's at compared to maybe where that one was in New Jersey too, and we can kind of do a little bit of comparison to see how this is kind of continuing to strengthen.
Yeah, let's pull that up. We can watch how that builds into the atmosphere and see basically how high these updrafts are going. If you remember, we looked at the cell that was over New Jersey. We saw these updrafts into about 30,000 feet into the atmosphere. And as we look at the one in Montgomery County, it's just a little bit lower. We had the red. You can see where the strongest updrafts are, where that darker red shading is right there. That's at about 25,000 feet right now. So that is definitely getting stronger and stronger as it moves through, and that's what we've been concerned was going to happen. The southern end of this, would it fill in? Would it intensify? This cell is looking pretty dangerous right now, possibly some hail in these updrafts as well.
Yeah, and so, I was just kind of curious to see where that one stacked up compared to the one, of course, that we've been overly concerned with, which is that the cell, of course, that's in New Jersey right now. So the cell that's actually in Montgomery County, we don't want to forget about anybody that's in Montgomery County right now. That cell is moving at about 35 miles an hour or so, and it's kind of moving to the south and east. So we can just kind of get an idea of where that one is also going to be going and how quickly it'll get there. So as it kind of moves in the southeasterly direction, you can kind of get Ben Salem kind of in the mix, and actually as let's zoom in a little bit and get a better idea of where exactly. So kind of right along the turnpike right now is where maybe the worst of that particular cell is. So there's just north of the turnpike, and as we bring it down, so we have Abington in there about 645, Rockledge 650, Holmes Circle, Cornwell also 659, and then as we get into New Jersey, Delanco at 701, and then Delran at 703. So again, this is not a severe warm storm, but a strengthening cell. And it's going to continue its southeasterly trend here, Kate, at 35 miles an hour.
And a lot of these storms that we've seen that have started to look severe have blown up very quickly. And once they turn severe, then they've started exhibiting rotation quickly. So if you're in that cone of concern, so to speak, which does include Northeast Philly as well, just stay alert, stay near your phone, stay near the warning system or near your TV, and of course we will let you know if that does develop into any sort of a tornado warning or even a severe thunderstorm warning. The worst of it right now is just east of Trenton. It's moving through portions of Mercer County. There's that cell right there. A large and dangerous tornado, a confirmed tornado, was on the ground in this area and continues to move to the southeast at about 25 miles per hour. That warning is still in effect, and it does include I-95. It includes 295. You can see that bright green and the red, an indication of rotation with that storm still being detected. So it remains to be seen at 6:45, will this warning be extended, or will the rotation have weakened enough, again, that they would allow that warning to expire. But as of right now, if you're in Trenton, if you're in Robbinsville, if you're in Lawrence, New Jersey, you need to be in your safe space. You need to be away from windows, interior room or basement, because this has a history of producing considerable damage. And it's only after the threat passes that we can actually go back out there, and we can send our crews back out there to see exactly what we're dealing with, what has been left behind in the wake of this dangerous
We've got some
storm.
power outages to report as well. Okay.
Yeah, PECO now up to near 2,900 outages. 2,451 in Bucks County alone. So if you're in this path where you're talking about it heading and you're still watching us on air, plug your phone in, plug any device in so that you can continue to track this if you do lose power.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's good advice, because it does look like it's just that area that was under that one particular cell. And again, it was not a huge area, but right under that damage track, that's the area that is going to see the most damage and the most power outages right now.
Jim is out in New Hope right now, I believe, in the mobile weather watcher. Let's take a look at the windshield wipers working now. They weren't on before, but now it looks like it's coming down there a little bit more. Yeah,
definitely. It looks like it's still kind of raining on the back edge of this, and so we have Jim in New Hope. And if we kind of go back and just put our rain back on there, so again we head up towards Buckingham. So here we go up. The New Hope area. So again, so right where he's at, we're getting those yellows and oranges and reds. So around New Hope, we're definitely getting a steady to probably some pockets here or there of some heavy rainfall in New Hope, and then just north of there as well as you head up towards Solebury Township, we're getting some more kind of maroon and purple mixing, and now that kind of pushing a little bit more towards kind of central New Jersey. But again, up there in that Central Bucks area, right along, we got 202, 232 is in there. That's what we're talking about. The yellows, the oranges, the reds, and a little bit of maroon and purple showing up too. So, Yuki, like you said, the windshield wipers are going, and depending on where you are, they might be going even faster.
And
than
we
what
just saw
Jim's
a
got
fire
going.
truck going right past Jim, so hopefully, you know, we don't know what that involves, but we're going to keep an eye on that as well.
Doesn't look like much damage.
I was just going to say the same thing.
I don't see branches down, but
there
again,
goes another
there's a
one.
fire
There's
truck, so
another
that could
one
be
going
that could be a tree down from lightning.
I was going to say
or,
somewhere else,
Right.
and you never know. Again, if the trees go down and then power outages, like Jess was just talking about. So obviously, though, the fire crews are out there. I'm sure that if they need be, the rescue crews will be out there as well. So it's a good reminder to tell everybody, stay off of the roads. Right? We do this all the time in the winter. We talk about when you have to let the plows get through. Well, now's a good time to kind of remind everybody, now's not the time to go out and go see, let's see if there's a tree that fell down in my neighbor's front yard or my front yard or down the street or whatever. Now's the time. Wait until it's done. Wait until everything is finished, because there goes an ambulance as well. So now's not the time to go out and go in your car and go gallivanting around trying to figure out what's happening. Wait until everything is done. Go out tomorrow morning when it's going to be, it's going to be 68 degrees and the humidity will be lower.
Yes.
It'll be fine. Now is not the time to go out while these crews are trying to do their job, and you're putting yourself and other people at risk.
And also, guys, you had mentioned this earlier, but maybe we should reiterate now that it's a few hours later. As this moves toward the Jersey Turnpike, which it is that right? If you know somebody who's on the road, you were saying do not try to take shelter underneath an overpass. Pull over.
Right.
Why
Pull
is
over
that?
to the side of the road, because every once in a while you get winds that accelerate through a concentrated space. It might seem like at least you're out of the rain, but sometimes if there is indeed a tornado moving through, the tornado winds can actually increase because they're being forced through the smaller gap of an overpass. It's called the Venturi effect, and it's something that we reiterate because it seems like the safest place to be. Really, the safest place to be is kind of off the road, as low to the ground as you can be. Whether you need to pull over kind of into a ditch or something like that, that is a better idea than going under an overpass. We did just hear of some damage.
Okay.
Oh, do you have a new tornado
I was going to say
warning?
they allowed at 6:45. They allowed that original tornado watch to expire or be canceled, and they have replaced it and extended it further now into Monmouth and Ocean counties, still incorporating parts of Mercer County as well, including right on the western, I guess the northern kind of edge of the box. We do still have the Trenton area, but now we have
thunderstorm warning now.
we do still have now Allentown, New Jersey, Jackson, New Jersey, Millstone, and Vista Center, New Jersey. This new tornado warning going until 7:30, so for another 45 minutes. And this one for now, not just Mercer, but also Monmouth and Ocean counties, now pushing its way closer to the shore cape.
And we now have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is the cell we've been monitoring very closely over Montgomery County, which is now moving east and moving toward northeast Philadelphia. It's right over Abington right now. This is currently a severe thunderstorm warning. It's not a tornado warning. However, we've seen a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings get issued and then very quickly turn into tornado warnings. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30. This includes 818,000 people, parts of Philadelphia County, Bucks, Burlington, and Montgomery counties, including spots like Beverly, Burlington, Edgewater Park, Florence, of course, the Lower Merion area, right along 276, right along the Turnpike here, and extending right across northeast Philly, Lower Bucks County, and into New Jersey. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. This cell could produce large hail in excess of 3/4 of an inch in diameter, as well as damaging winds 65 miles per hour or higher. And again, this is moving east and will impact spots like Bensalem, will impact northeast Philly, and then move into New Jersey. And I am concerned. I was just looking at the velocity with this. There is at least a little bit of rotation with this. Did you see that as well?
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to look at the velocity yet, but in the statement about this particular warning, Kate, the National Weather Service did say that a tornado is possible with this, and they're saying hail up to 1 inch. So again, it's pretty typical what you would expect with what we've been seeing so far.
Yeah, and if they see any sort of indication that rotation is happening, we may see a tornado warning with this cell further to the south. So that's what we've been worried about all day. Is this going to fill in? Is this going to turn severe on the southern end? And we're now starting to see that, and this could impact parts of the city of Philadelphia, at least northeast Philly. And you can see at least a little bit here of potential rotation with that. Again, nothing super strong, but enough for the National Weather Service to say a tornado cannot be ruled out with this particular severe storm. We did also just get a damage report from Northampton County. 3 to 4 buildings damaged in Northampton County. A possible tornado went through there. So that was one of the earliest warnings we had in Northampton County. Possibly the same cluster of storms that produced a tornado further south in Bucks County and in Mercer County. So right now we have 2 active warnings, a tornado warning in New Jersey, a severe thunderstorm warning for this cell right here over the turnpike, right over portions of lower Montgomery County, pushing toward Bensalem. This is going to move over lower Bucks and could, in fact, impact the Trenton area as well, moving over the same areas that have already been hit by the first cell, this one right here, which has a tornado warning still active with it. Yeah,
and Kate, we actually just got another damage report as well. Sorry if I step out of frame here real quick. I'm just trying to read it to make sure I have everything correct. But we did get a report. So from around New Hope, we just saw the fire trucks and the ambulance go by in that picture from the mobile weather watcher. Well, a train spotter did say that around 5:57, so a little bit less than an hour ago, there were reports of numerous reports of trees and power lines down in New Hope with the possible tornado, and that 5:57 timestamp for that was an estimate from when that potential tornado went through, or we did have that. I guess we did have the confirmed tornado on the ground at one point. 5:57 was the time for those trees and those power lines in the New Hope area.
And so again, the weather watcher, I believe, is in New Hope or near New Hope, and you can see there were some small amounts of debris along the side of the road, smaller branches and leaves down, some ponding on the roads as well. We haven't seen any considerable damage just yet, but again, Matt just reported we have heard some trees down and power lines down in the New Hope area with that confirmed tornado. So Jim and our CBS3 mobile weather watcher out there looking for some of that damage, and we will of course bring that to you if we're able to find it. But again, a confirmed large tornado. He is actually in Solebury Township right now. Solebury Township was another one of those areas that we mentioned over and over that this cell was right over top of it. This is a look at a video from Solebury Township as this storm moved in. And I believe we're looking at, you can kind of see the movement of the clouds there as this storm began to form and began to move into the Solebury Township area in Bucks County. So some rotation in the clouds up there. You can kind of see them moving just a little bit as they began to rotate as the storm began to take shape. Almost looks like a little bit of it looks like that could be scud or maybe a little bit of a funnel trying to form there in Solebury Township. But we know in hindsight that there was a tornado that moved through this area. So if you see that rotation up there in the clouds, you can kind of deduce that this was the beginning of this tornado starting to form there.
Yeah, definitely. That's very, just in general, just interesting video, Kate, no matter what, whether it was a little bit of, just so everybody knows, when Kate says scud, what we're talking about is kind of, it's the rain cloud, and then the rain as it falls kind of drags the lower end, like kind of the bottom side of the cloud down a little bit, and it sometimes can get a little bit confusing. Are you seeing a funnel? Are you seeing that kind of rotating wall cloud like we talked about earlier with Sussex County? Or are you actually seeing a funnel? So sometimes when you're not actually there, and even when you are actually seeing this in person, it's a little bit hard to tell. So try not to assume what's going on. But again, it's a little bit difficult to tell. But I think Kate's right. It might be a little bit of scud. But again, when you have that kind of movement in the clouds and the movement in the atmosphere, it's just showing you what's actually happening out there, that there's a lot going on, that the atmosphere is active and that it's churning and it's ready to go. So it's just an indication, hey, let's go inside. Let's stay away from anything that's going on that's outside, and we'll go outside when it's safe. And we got another live picture here from Jim and the mobile weather watcher up there in Solebury Township. Again, the windshield wipers are going. The good news is, at least right now here in Solebury Township, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of damage out there currently. But again, we saw plenty of well, this is Solebury Township. That looks like it's New Hope to me, but I could be missing it. I could be misinterpreting where we're at. But either way, we saw the fire trucks go by. We did also see, of course, the ambulance go by as well. So either way, up there kind of in central Bucks County, there's a lot going on, and there's definitely probably going to end up being some damage reports when it all is said and done.
Just a heads up, if you lose power, and we certainly hope you don't, we're going to keep you updated on our streaming service, CBSN Philly, and our weather app. Two very important pieces of information you can get from there. A lot of information from there. But right now, we're live on CBS3. This is just incredible what we've been watching.
People just in Bucks County alone. So if you are following and tracking and you anticipate the storm coming right through your neighborhood, make sure that you charge those devices. Here we go. This is
Lehigh County.
So up in Lehigh Township.
This was the beginning. So remember, the first tornado warning we had with this cluster of storms, not the Sussex County one, but the very first tornado warning we had was in Lehigh County. And I remember you mentioned Weisenberg Township because we weren't sure if it was Weissenberg or Weisenberg.
That's right.
Remember, that cell moved right over Weisenberg Township. We'll go with that. And you can see the damage it left behind. It looks like a tree down on a car.
I was going to say, is that a car?
Looks
under
like
there?
a car.
Oh, geez.
So let's hope that isn't as bad as it could be.
Let's hope nobody was injured. That looks like a large tree down on a car and likely power lines down.
Power lines down as well, yeah.
So keep in mind, if this was the very beginning of this, right, this storm only intensified as it moved through Bucks County. So we're just starting to get the first pictures, the first videos, the first images of damage from Northampton County, from Lehigh County. There was the storm in Sussex County earlier. That's what you call a rotating wall cloud. The funnel does not extend all the way to the ground, but you can start to see that rotation and start to see how it's starting to descend. That's the very beginning of a tornadic thunderstorm there.
Look at that.
And if we can go back to the rotating wall cloud for just 1 second, you can kind of tell the difference between that video that we were just looking at, Kate, where we're talking, is it scud? Is it a rotation? But with that rotating wall cloud there, it's a little bit more organized. While these clouds are moving, you can kind of see you can kind of tell there's a little bit more disorganization with this video as compared to that rotating wall cloud where everything kind of seemed to be uniform as it moved. And that kind of leads me to believe that this could be, while it's again a very ominous picture, maybe more scud than necessarily a rotation leading to a funnel.
Totally, because you could kind of see, how that wall cloud was kind of coalescing into one area of clouds that was starting to descend toward the ground. When you look here, you see a lot of low-hanging clouds moving through, but not any real significant rotation close to the ground, at least yet. Now, this may be the early stages of it, but you can start to see the movement in the clouds. But when we saw that rotating wall cloud from Drew earlier in Sussex County, very clear indication that that's going to be a tornado.
That's interesting you pointed that out because I'm looking at the movement of the trees, and it's, as you mentioned, all the activity is up top, and it's not close to the ground where we've seen the trees moving a lot more than what we see there, but they are moving.
And so we have two active storms right now that have warnings. We have a flash flood warning also, but two storms that are severe. One, a severe thunderstorm warning for lower Montgomery County and into northeast Philly, portions of Bucks County. We also have a tornado warning still in effect. This is for Mercer and Ocean counties. That goes until 7:30 p.m. That includes Allentown, New Jersey, not Allentown, Pennsylvania, Millstone, Roosevelt, and Upper Freehold. Also, a severe thunderstorm warning will impact Bensalem, Bristol, Cornwall, and Croydon. That goes until 7:30, and that will move right over northeast Philadelphia. Here's some good news for Center City, Philadelphia. It looks like nothing is going to be able to strengthen quickly enough to move through Center City. There is one more cell to watch over Berks County back there to the west, but it's looking like the worst of this is moving by north of Philadelphia. And as we get towards 7, 8 o'clock, we're going to start to see a little bit of the dynamics weakening for these storms to continue strengthening as they have been earlier today. So right now, the worst of it, north of the city, and it looks like lower Bucks and parts of Mercer County, New Jersey, will be the hardest hit from this storm, and also the Lehigh Valley from earlier as well.
Yeah, definitely. And earlier, too, we were talking about, was there going to be enough stabilization in the atmosphere? Now that this strongest part of this system looks to have moved through, while yes, we do still see a couple of thunderstorms out there in Berks County towards the Reading area. I do think, Kate, that we are now probably going to start to see this kind of wind down.
Yes.
We didn't get a whole lot of, usually we say we have to wait till daytime heating ends, and even at 7 o'clock, you could still be dealing with a little bit of daytime heating. We didn't get a whole lot of that today. These storms still overcame the cloud cover. They still overcame a few early morning showers, a few even early morning downpours in areas, but I don't know if the atmosphere is going to be able to overcome what we saw here this afternoon and into now almost the early evening as we continue. And of course, the severe the tornado watch still is scheduled to go until 9 o'clock. I don't know. I'm not saying they'll cancel it early,
right,
but I don't know if we're going to necessarily be overly concerned. Once this area of precipitation moves through, I think we could really start to kind of breathe a sigh of relief.
Right, that the worst will have been over by then, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that tornado watch canceled early. However, the worst is still happening right now. We may still have an active tornado on the ground in New Jersey right now, moving through portions of Mercer and Monmouth counties. We also have that active severe thunderstorm warning, and we can't rule out that that is going to take on some rotation and be tornado warned as well. We've seen it with almost every cell so far today. So that's one we're continuing to watch very closely as it moves through northeast Philly. There's one more cell over Berks County, but again, doesn't look like that's going to be able to blow up enough to create the threat for more severe weather. And behind that, it looks like the threat is ending. So if you're in the Lehigh Valley, if you're in the Poconos, the threat looks to be over for you. The worst of it right now will be for portions of northeast Philly, portions of Burlington County, Mercer County, Ocean County, and Monmouth County, where we do still have right there the active tornado warning. This is just about to cross right over I-95 as we speak.
Yeah, and Kate, the National Weather Service has kind of put out their preliminary storm reports that have come in so far today. So if you remember, we talked about Lynn Township a lot earlier. So there are reports of trees and wires down. That was around 4 o'clock this afternoon. So that kind of leads into that original line or that original severe thunderstorm or tornado warning that we saw up in the Lehigh Valley originally when we after we got done with Sussex County, Delaware, we went up into the Lehigh Valley. Lynn Township was involved in that. We spoke about the Weissenberg area as well. Also, trees down and uprooted in the Slatington area of Lehigh County as well. That was right around 4:30. That was a 911 call. So hopefully an uprooted tree with a 911 call does not mean that there was anyone that was hurt in that situation. But again, coming in from a 911 call. We talked about the 53-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Quakertown earlier. Also the New Hope area. And then 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts out over Dewey Beach, out over the water with the original line of thunderstorms and that strong thunderstorm that came through. And we also are now getting reports that was a water spout. It was a confirmed water spout, the video that we were showing. So again, the National Weather Service, that was around Bethany Beach. So the pictures and video of the water spout did officially have that water spout. And there it is right there. It's a great video of this. We got to thank Drew again for sending this in. This is a wonderful picture. You can see the water just coming up from the bottom of that, a very clear indication that that is touching the water, making it a water spout. Yeah. Of course, when a tornado moves over water, it's no longer a tornado, it's a water spout. And again, well, it'll be interesting to see if this ever did touch the ground, if this ever was just a funnel, or if we did get confirmation of a tornado actually touching the ground there in Sussex County earlier this afternoon. Or did it wait until it went over the water and then touch the ground or touch the water? That's what we'll have to wait and see. And these reports that Matt just ran through are mainly from the earlier activity that we had prior to 5 o'clock. We'll still be waiting to get these damage reports in from the possible large dangerous tornado that likely touched down near New Hope and again near Ewing, Lawrenceville. We're still waiting for damage reports. There are still storms in that area right now, so they can't really get out and assess any of that damage. But reports are coming in from trained spotters across the region. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning right now near Bensalem, 7:03. That's in the next 2 minutes. Croydon, Bristol, Bordentown, all in the path of that storm. And still, of course, a tornado warning for portions of Monmouth and Ocean counties. And that goes until 7:30, I believe, this evening. 7:30, yep. And we now have a new flash flood warning as well. And you can see the flash flood warnings have pretty much just followed the trajectory of that storm, kind of on the northern edge of it. So exactly where the path of that tornado, that's potential tornado, we don't know if it was on the ground the whole time, but we do know it touched down in several spots. Where that confirmed tornado was, flash flood warnings now following that tornado, and the flash flood warnings tend to last a little longer. The one now in effect for Mercer, Middlesex, Monmouth, and Somerset counties goes until 11 o'clock tonight. We also have our original flash flood warning for portions of Bucks County, Hunterdon, Mercer County. That goes until 10 o'clock tonight. Flash flooding ongoing as the rain continues to fall in these areas, and still, of course, the tornado warning for Mercer, Monmouth, and Northern Ocean counties until 7:30 this evening. These storms still
It's almost remarkable how these storms are not really falling apart at all. Even though we head towards 7 o'clock, we start to lose, like we said, some of the daytime heating. Still a very, very strong, dangerous storm right now near Manalapan, and another one moving over northeast Philly. Not a tornado warning, but a severe thunderstorm warning at the moment.
And also some good news with the tornado warning that is still in effect, of course, until 7:30. They're now saying that any rotation and any tornadic activity is radar indicated. So that we're going now back to that radar indicated side of things rather than the observed, rather than the confirmed on the ground. So hopefully that rotation has become a little bit more broad. If there was, well, there does look like there was a tornado on the ground. We had to get that observed and confirmed idea. It has lifted, at least the tornado has lifted, and now we are back to just radar indicated, meaning that is not on the ground, and right now not churning things up and making things worse than they already are.
Right, we don't have eyes on the ground. Now that doesn't mean it can't touch down in that area. That's why the tornado warning is still there. There's still rotation. But we're not hearing that wording that we heard from the National Weather Service, large, extremely dangerous tornado with considerable damage on the ground. That means it likely has weakened some.
Yeah, which always, we'll take that all the time when we have these kind of situations. It's always, I mean, Kate, you've covered this for a long time. I've covered it as well multiple times. And one of my favorite parts about severe weather is when it's done.
Absolutely.
Is when we can start to say the storm has started to weaken a little bit. We're now talking about something that's radar indicated rather than this, you know, capable of extreme damage. When we don't have to use that wording anymore, it's always a good thing when we have to go through these situations.
Absolutely. And we were, Jessica was talking earlier about having a pit in your stomach. And when we track things like this, when we go through severe weather events like this, we know we're talking about people's lives and people's homes at risk. A large, dangerous tornado on the ground in our area. That's a scary thing to have to talk about. And what we always want to say is don't panic, stay calm, stay safe, have your plan in place. Especially this summer has shown us that we're not safe here. We're not in Tornado Alley, but we have gotten so many tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, flash flood warnings. You need to have that plan. Where are you going to go if a tornado warning is issued? If you're the next New Hope and you hear a large, extremely dangerous tornado is on the ground, do you know what you're going to do? Do you know what you're going to tell your kids? Very, very important to have that plan in place just for your own sanity and your own safety.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
During rush hour, right? With low visibility, you know, people are headed home. You were saying, Kate, earlier that people commute up to the city or up to New York City or to
Even
Philadelphia. Our Alicia Roberts just posted something from Washington Crossing, and you can just see the low visibility there. So also a risk as well.
And you know, some people may not want to, they may hear there's a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. They may not want to like stay at work and wait it out and say, you know, I just want to get home. I'm just going to get in the car and I'm going to go. How bad can it be? And that's when you hear in the aftermath of events like this, when you hear about fatalities and you hear about injuries and you say, you just have to take it seriously because you may think it can never happen to you. We all know that it can. Things can happen and you need to just play it safe. Even if you later say, you know what, I didn't need to do that. It's still better to stay at work, stay put, stay at home, cancel the plans if you need to, because a situation like this, I think we're going to go back and look at some of these damage reports coming in, and I think it's going to be pretty staggering what we see from this.
And you're talking about not moving at people. I have to give my wife a huge shout out. She works around the Trenton area, and they put everybody into the basement of where they work.
Oh, that's great.
They watched us on CBSN, and they were monitoring everything, and they're still there. They're perfectly fine. They're okay.
That's great.
But again,
Glad to hear it.
She made sure everybody didn't get in their car. They didn't try to drive. They all just stayed put in the office, and then once they think like they're okay to leave, and then they will. So again, I have to give my wife a huge shout out. One, I love you, and two, stay safe.
Good
and
job,
I'm really
Corey.
glad that you did everything right. But again, she grew up in the Midwest where this happens fairly often.
Right.
She's not not unaware of how to deal with these kind of situations. But again, when you get caught in it, you sometimes get a little bit caught up. So I have to just say that it looks like things are, at least according to her, getting a little bit better up there around the Trenton area too.
It does look like the worst of this is starting to shift to the east, and now the tornado warning again in effect for just northern Ocean County and parts of Monmouth County. We still have active, dangerous, severe weather out there. We don't mean to broadcast that this is over. However, it looks as though the threat of a large, dangerous tornado on the ground causing damage has probably ended. The threat for rotation or another tornado touchdown is still a possibility. And we do still have a severe storm right now moving through northeast Philly, which is producing the threat for damaging winds and also lots of lightning. We're looking live right now at Wildwood, New Jersey. The shore has really managed to escape the worst of it, but I'm just seeing, is this a new tornado warning now for Philadelphia? Yeah, it's Lower Bucks.
Yes, it is.
And Philadelphia. So that same cell that we had been talking about with that tornado warning, that severe thunderstorm warning, and we had mentioned over and over that anytime these storms have been turning severe today, they've also been turning tornadic. And right now we have a tornado warning in effect for portions of northeast Philadelphia, lower Bucks County, and moving into New Jersey. So now yet another threat for a possible tornado on the ground or a possible tornado to touch the ground. And this does include parts of the city of Philadelphia. Let's pull up this cell and now the new tornado warning associated with it. So here it is. This is a new tornado warning that has just been issued. We'll pull up the stats on it for you so you can see where it is and who's affected. Right now it's for northeast Philly. It's for lower Bucks. It includes Bordentown, Burlington, Delanco. 4,555 people living in this area that is tornado warned right now. This goes until 7:30 tonight. So for the next 22 minutes, a tornado warning currently in effect. And again, this does include portions of Philadelphia. This is a severe thunderstorm, radar indicated, capable of producing a tornado. It was located right over Feasterville-Trevose area, about 11 miles northeast of the city. It's moving east at 25 miles per hour. So 2 now active tornado warnings in effect for our area. The first one, again, that same storm that moved through Bucks County with a tornado confirmed. We now have a tornado warning for portions of northeast Philadelphia, lower Bucks County, and into Burlington County. That is the southernmost end of this line of storms that we've been watching all day. There's a live look at the city, and you can see the dark clouds starting to move through. If you're in the city and you look north, that's where you're going to see the dark clouds, the ominous skies as this system moves to the north. If you're in northeast Philadelphia, seek shelter immediately, an interior room, a basement, get low to the ground, get away from windows, put your head down. This is a new tornado warning, and we've seen so far today that these storms are capable of producing tornadoes on the ground. So once again, we shift back into considerable danger mode as this storm continues to move through portions of lower Bucks County right along the turnpike.
I was going to say, right. Is that what, right? Is that what you're talking about, Kate?
Yeah, right there. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, again, right along the turnpike, and then we have Route 1 right there as well. So again, that's probably, again, we have a pretty good idea here of where we have the green kind of coming in, and then you have the red just kind of cutting right across it. So again, we have another good idea of where we could potentially see some of that rotation. We got Old Lincoln Highway in here again. Route 1, as it's in Bucks County, of course, is just plain Route 1, and then as it crosses into the northeast, we get the Roosevelt Boulevard here. So again, right along, and then also I believe that would be Street Road kind of mixed in with that as well. I believe that's where Street Road kind of comes across. So again, right in here where Kate just had that circle, she had it perfectly, just kind of right in there is where that possible rotation is that has to do with that. With the new tornado warning that was just issued now for northeast Philadelphia, lower Bucks County as well. Again, we have been talking about this all afternoon now, driving around in this. I know it's now 10 after 7, but there are still plenty of folks. The turnpike is never not crowded with at least some people. And again, that's exactly right now where we're potentially seeing some of the worst of this. And Route 1 is another one. There's always people driving on Route 1, getting to the turnpike, coming into the city. And again, so that's where we're trying to hopefully have folks not be driving around. And here are the stats for this newest tornado warning. Again, for Bucks and Philadelphia counties in Pennsylvania, Burlington County, because it does cross the Delaware River there into Jersey, this going until 7:30, Bensalem, Bristol, Cornwall, and then Croydon. So again, a lot of areas included in here. We also see Levittown mixed in there, right along Route 13. All, again, that is all lower Bucks County. And then as you push up towards, again, Route 1 coming through parts of probably areas like Langhorne, mixing in up in here where, again, the turnpike comes through, up near the Sesame Place area. That's, again, kind of right where the turnpike, and then this also is 95, or what used to be 95 and is now 295, kind of coming up through lower Bucks County as well. So, again, that's where the new tornado warning is for. So, again, lots of high populated areas that people are driving right now and are going to continue to drive probably for a while. So again, we want to hopefully, if you know anybody that potentially is going to be driving in this area over the next couple of minutes or even probably the next half an hour or so, try to get them to maybe get off of that particular area, or if they're not seeing anything bad just yet, just kind of slow down and maybe ride it out, or I would say maybe not ride it out, but just kind of slow down and not get involved into where some of the worst of this is for the time being.
Exactly. This is a very dangerous storm over portions of northeast Philadelphia, Bucks County. Right now, you can see the ominous clouds moving through the city. The worst is north of Center City, Philadelphia right now. We also now have a flash flood warning for this area as well. So right now, lower Bucks, portions of northeast Philadelphia moving into Burlington County are concurrently under a tornado warning, a severe thunderstorm warning, and also a flash flood warning. Of course, the most dangerous of those is the tornado warning, which is currently in effect for this area. So once again, if you're in this area, if you're in Bensalem, if you're in Langhorne, if you're in northeast Philly, you got to be in your basement. We've seen a tornado, a large, dangerous tornado on the ground already today. This could be another one. You want to stay away from windows, get low to the ground, and protect your head. Again, you want to get your head down. You want to get inside a closet because these tornadoes can blow out windows. They can have flying debris. And there's another report of a tornado once again in Philadelphia County. So we're hearing some of our phones going off there. Flash flood warnings as well. Not for Center City, but this is northeast Philadelphia. Right now, you can see the big picture here where the storms are moving. And this is likely the last of it, which is good news. But of course, this system is not going down without a fight. Yet another flash flood warning and a tornado warning with this cell right here. We'll stop this right here over Bensalem, right over 276, the turnpike there, right where it connects with 295. Very, very, as Matt was saying, very highly traveled area, very populated area as well from Delanco on north. And this is headed quickly toward the Burlington-Bristol Bridge area as well, moving into New Jersey. And it's moving east, I believe, at about 25 miles per hour once again. So let's see, a flash flood warning in effect until 11:15. The tornado warning is in effect until 7:30 this evening. So that's for about the next 15 minutes. So we'll try to pull up the rotation. And again, you can see further to the south here, this is moving right along 276, right along the turnpike there, headed toward Bristol, right over Bensalem, and headed toward Croydon as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like right almost where 513 and the turnpike almost come together is probably where any kind of, if we are seeing any kind of anything going on, that's probably where it would be right now. I would say just a little bit north there of Bensalem, kind of coming down from the Humeville area. Again, right along 513 towards the turnpike is right now kind of the bullseye area of where the rotation would be. Again, now we're not getting reports there of anybody saying that this is an observed. We're not getting anything that says that we have eyeballs on this. But I would say that the signature that's associated with this on velocity is pretty good. So just another indication that we are not out of the woods just yet, that we will continue to see these storms kind of fire up over the next half an hour or so, right? Until 7:30. 7:30. So for another 15 minutes.
So it's kind of between Humeville and Bensalem, near Pendle, Croydon, Bristol, all of these areas.
Yeah, Levittown mixed in there as well. So
Hawthorne Park by 717, Deacons, Fulwell, Georgetown, Fort Dix, Browns Mills, Fort Dix, of course, where the radar imagery is located. So we'll see if this storm passes right over that area, and we continue to track it on the radar picture. But again, you can see this cluster of storms, pretty much the last of it here, and it's now moving into New Jersey, lower Bucks. Bucks County, of course, has been pretty much the hardest hit today. We had one confirmed large tornado on the ground already. We now have another tornado warning for portions of Bucks County. And I do want to see if we do still have an active warning as well for portions of northern Ocean County and Monmouth County. But right now,
that goes for another 14 minutes, I believe, till 7:30.
Both of them until 7:30
as well.
Wow. So as the sun begins this set,
Yuki, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. The National Weather Service is now saying a confirmed tornado near the Neshaminy Mall.
Wow.
So that's at Route 1, and the Turnpike is right where the Neshaminy Mall is.
That's
the
exactly
National Weather Service is just saying near the Neshaminy Mall that we now have a confirmed tornado there.
Unbelievable.
So
This is
unbelievable. It's incredible. I was saying, as the sun begins to set and the atmospheric conditions start to change, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are in the clear. Things are still
Absolutely
happening.
no, definitely not. So again, we're
Confirmed tornado near the Neshaminy Mall.
which again, like I said, that is right almost directly where the interchange is. There's the Neshaminy Mall is there. There's an AMC movie theater that's there. There's on the other side, actually, from the Neshaminy Mall, there's like a little shopping center. There's like a Panda Express. There's a Chipotle. There's all. So it's another thing. People get off the turnpike and they're like, oh my God, what am I going to have for dinner? And they quick pull in, and you're like, all right, I'm going to get Panda Express, and then then we end up with a confirmed tornado right there as well. So again, this is an area, lots and lots of people there all the time.
And here we are toward the end of rush hour. Folks are on the move.
Yeah.
I had
confirmed
asked
tornado near Ben
if our
Salem.
Alicia Roberts, she's headed out there. She was in Washington Crossing to work on the story for this evening. And I asked our producer, I said, any chance we can get her on the phone? And she said the conditions are so bad. She's just trying, she's kind of white knuckling it. And the visibility is bad and so much lightning still in that area.
Yeah.
So we hope that she gets there safely. And this was also, Jim just shot this. You saw Jim McHugh on the ground from the Weather Watcher. He just got out of the car and shot this.
That's out in New Hope, Bucks County, yeah. Oh
And
my goodness.
He said blocking a road. I don't know if that's this shot or another one, but it's incredible. Please be safe.
And now we're hearing there's a potential large tornado debris signature southwest of Trevose, right along 276.
Again, that's in the same general vicinity. I know you're trying to pull it up on your phone. I'll see if I can pull up that correlation coefficient again on air and see what we can.
So
come up
once
with.
again, to recap, we are under a tornado warning for lower Bucks County, northeast Philadelphia, portions of Burlington County as well. A confirmed tornado near the Neshaminy Mall near Ben Salem, moving east at about 25 miles per hour. And
it's maybe not quite as well defined as it was earlier, but you can kind of still see. Now it's kind of a little bit, I guess, past where. So they were saying that the confirmed tornado was kind of in this general vicinity. That's where Route 1 and the Turnpike kind of come together, which is where the Neshaminy Mall is. So again, we're still getting, and as we get another scan here from our radar, it looks like it could have pushed out a little bit, so maybe a little bit further now to the east, kind of riding right along, almost right along the Turnpike. But again, so if we're talking about there and then kind of just continuing to ride right to the east, right along the Turnpike. So there's Pendel. I don't know if Trevose is popping up on our map, but we should be very, very close to the Trevose area. My geography is not always great down in Lower Bucks County, but Pendel and Trevose are relatively close together, from what I remember. So again, you can kind of see where we're not getting those, where we're getting those brighter colors, where we're not getting that uniform kind of just plain raindrops.
And we now have our initial tornado warning has now been extended, or a new one has been issued for parts of Monmouth and Ocean counties. That has been expanded towards portions of eastern Monmouth County and Ocean County as that cell has continued to exhibit rotation. We now have kind of a new one overlapping the old one, which is set to expire in 10 minutes. It looks as though the rotation has gone a little further to the north than the original warning had indicated. So now a new tornado warning just cutting across northern Ocean County and southern Monmouth County. That one goes until 7:45. Again, the tornado warning near Neshaminy Mall, Ben Salem, portions of lower Bucks County with a confirmed tornado, that one until 7:30. So two cells, and you can see it does look like the one over lower Bucks County is the stronger of the two right now. You can see those bright returns, very heavy rain likely falling, very, very intense winds as well, and the potential for a tornado to continue. Again, we have a confirmed tornado already. We don't know if it is still on the ground or if it is kind of touching down as it goes. We'll continue to monitor this as it moves east. But again, we'll show you some of these spots that this is moving almost to the east. It almost looks like it's shifting a little to the north.
And I was going to say, Kate, is this still moving at 25?
It said 25 to the east. Yeah.
Okay, so we can.
It looks like it's going a little more northeast to me, but it does move. The movement is still east at 25. So we can track.
I was going to say, if you want, I can we'll put a a new track on this. You think it's kind of going in this?
Yeah, I think that's what it looks like to me as we see it shift up toward near Bensalem. This is where the center is here. So Pennypacker Park by 7:24, Willingboro at 7:27, West Hampton at 7:33, Fulwell 7:47, moving over Fort Dix by about 7:59, and then eventually to Browns Mills by 8:05. So there's a lot of color going on here. There's a lot going on here. We'll try to break it down for you. Anywhere you see these bright red boxes, there's one here. There's one just slightly further to the north. This particular cell near Manalapan is tornado warned. We have another tornado warning. You see this bright red box here over this cell. This is the confirmed tornado that was near Neshaminy Mall and Bensalem, which is moving east at 25. We have several flash flood warnings, one including Lower Montgomery. Actually, it's not Lower Montgomery. It's Northeast Philadelphia, Lower Bucks, and into Burlington. Moving toward the Trenton area, a confirmed tornado now near the Neshaminy Mall. So most of the focus with today's storms, the worst of it has been over portions of central and lower Bucks counties. This is a separate cell, so we may be tracking a second potential tornado on the ground in Bucks County, and we won't know the extent of the damage and the extent of the strength of these two tornadoes until the National Weather Service goes out with their damage teams and assesses the damage. But we will continue to get storm reports on these throughout the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So again, this is the most dangerous cell we have out there right now.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Kate, if we want, I was going to throw the kind of the shear track back on there and see what it looked like, kind of where the tornado, or I guess where the confirmed tornado is down across lower Bucks County, and where Bensalem is almost right where the Neshaminy Mall is very close to there. And if we get real close once again, we have that kind of darker kind of orange in there, right?
Yeah, and you can see it was almost right along 276, right along the turnpike there over portions of Bucks County. It looks like that almost rode right along that area, and that's what you were saying, that the Neshaminy Mall is kind of right in this area.
Yeah, it's just a little bit further to your west. So kind of where it says Lower Southampton, kind of go right down south from Lower Southampton. Yeah, and right you're kind of generally right in there.
So you can see where that brighter color is an indication of that maybe where a tornado touched down. And sometimes we can see them pick up and touch down again. You can pick up and then touch down multiple times. If you shift back to the north, Matt, to the previous shear track, you can see it did look a little bit more intense. The storm that went by further to the north, you can see the darker returns there right here as it moved from Bucks County. Now, of course, this only tracks for a certain amount of time, but this rolled over Bucks County, then the rotation strengthened again near Trenton, and you can see this very bright color, an indication that a tornado was likely on the ground just east of Trenton. That same cell is now moving into Monmouth County and does have a tornado warning, in fact, 2 tornado warnings associated with it until 7:45. So 2 cells, 2 confirmed tornadoes on the ground. We also had a confirmed water spout just off the coast of Sussex County. Still waiting for confirmation as to whether a tornado touched down there. But all of this is shifting east. Mercer County, Burlington County, Ocean County, and Lower Bucks still in that tornado warning. These are the areas that are in the biggest threat zone right now.
And then here, this is a video, I believe, of earlier. So these are storm clouds spotted over South Brunswick. This is Middlesex County in New Jersey. It looks like, for the most part, this is not looking too bad. Of course, it's very ominous with our thunderstorm clouds. No matter where we are today, you never know. Maybe a touch of maybe try to look like it was moving a little bit, but for the most part, it does look like that this was just some thunderstorm clouds that came rolling through the South Brunswick area of Middlesex County. So thanks to the South Brunswick Police for this video as well. Even if it's not intense storm video, it's always good to know exactly what's happening, kind of where, no matter where or no matter what it is. So we're making sure that we're talking about what's actually happening in everybody's neighborhood and not just kind of trying to guess what's going on here or there. But again, so this is coming in from the South Brunswick Police Department.
You can kind of see the clouds starting to descend. You can't see behind the tree line there, but it does look as though things are looking a little ominous, possibly the beginnings of some rotation there as well. But I think what we're going to be really interested to see, here's a photo of barn damage. This is in Buckingham. We mentioned Buckingham over and over.
Again, up by the New Hope area, up by Soulbury Township, which we talked about a whole bunch.
It looks like the wall and the roof was likely ripped off of that barn there in Buckingham. And of course, that is in Bucks County, where the first confirmed tornado went through. We now have a second confirmed tornado for Bucks County that touched down at least once, possibly still on the ground. Here's a video of a tree down in New Hope, Bucks County. Again, a confirmed tornado was on the ground at one point in New Hope. causing considerable damage. Trees down there. Power is out to over 2,000 people just in Bucks County alone, and I would imagine more now that a second confirmed tornado has touched down near the Neshaminy Mall and does have a tornado warning, which extends from Lower Bucks now into Burlington County. It does look like it has been canceled for Northeast Philadelphia, at least, no longer in that tornado warning, but parts of extreme Lower Bucks County and Burlington County still in that tornado warning as the cell moves right over Willingboro right now, right over 295 south of Bordentown. So there are the tornado warnings. You can see the outlines of the boxes there. One from Bordentown, Willingboro, just east of Ben Salem in Middletown, and 2 tornado warnings currently in effect. I believe the one will be allowed to expire at 7:30, and the one further to the north near Marlboro will go until 7:45.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think this lower one, so our southern one, 7:30. So just for another 3 minutes or so. And Kate, I believe you're right that will most likely be allowed to expire. And then we have our northern one that until 7:45 for Middlesex, Monmouth, and Ocean County. So still a very active situation across the entire region. Don't know if we are still talking about a confirmed tornado or not, but the National Weather Service now is saying that in Burlington County that they can confirm that there is hail that was 1 inch in diameter. So that's in Mount Holly. So of course that is at the actual office from the National Weather Service. They are confirming in Burlington County severe hail 1 inch in diameter. So I believe that is just about quarter size, if I remember my diagram correctly.
That sounds about right to me.
And again, that's not necessarily uncommon when we have these kind of systems, heavy rain, and we have those strong updrafts. The hail coming down at about 1 inch in diameter, definitely not out of the question. So very much right in line with everything else that we've been seeing so far.
We just got a report of flash flooding in Mercer County. Cars disabled. Let me pull up the actual Route 33 in Mercer County. Cars disabled due to flash flooding. That is the area that is under a flash flood warning. So again, that's
the good reminder we tell everybody all the time, turn around, don't drown.
Right.
And again, a perfect reminder with people now kind of stranded in this high water.
Which means they were very likely in the same area where the tornado went through, and very lucky, hopefully no injuries or fatalities there, but shouldn't have been on the roads at all. And certainly in a situation like this, it's a very dangerous situation. Not only the tornadoes, but flash flooding, of course, causes threat to lives and property. We've got these damaging straight line winds. We've got the lightning. We saw ambulances, fire trucks. You never know if there could be fires caused by lightning strikes. There's so many potential impacts from a severe weather day like this that have been felt across our area and will continue to be felt as the storm reports continue to roll in this evening.
And we got another live picture here from Jim in the Mobile Weather Watcher. I'm not quite sure if he's still up in central Bucks County there. He was for a while in New Hope around the Soulbury area. He got us some great videos. So all right, so he's in Route 202 there, Buckingham Township. Again, still up there in kind of central Bucks County. So again, this was an area where now I think he's starting to get a little bit away from where we had that confirmed tornado come through. The good news is his windshield wipers aren't going. He's maybe a little bit now getting away from where we're still getting that heavy rainfall, still getting that very powerful system continuing to slide through now Mercer County, and he's now kind of pulling away from that. But again, even though we're now starting to see this wind down in some areas like in central Bucks County, it's still not the time to go out. Let the emergency managers, let the emergency crews go out and do the cleanup themselves, and then you can kind of keep yourself safe. But again, Jim, still continue to be careful out there as you drive around in central Bucks County, especially right now. You in Route 202, even though we're starting to see things quiet down and our picture is looking a little bit more quiet than it was even just a couple of minutes ago, definitely want to be careful still out on the roadways.
And we did just get a report that it's now $half size hail. There's Mount Holly, where the National Weather Service headquarters is located. $half. That's about 1.25 inches. Inch and a half, you get ping pong ball size hail, so about a $half size now. And there was also a report of debris in the air near the Neshaminy Mall from a train spotter, which is another indication that there was a tornado on the ground there.
It's 7:30 in the evening in the tri-state area and on the East Coast. You're watching special weather coverage here on Eyewitness News. It's been quite the day. Tornado warnings, flash flooding, wind damage. It's all happening.
We were talking about how as the night goes on, we'll start to get these photos and video coming into the newsroom. And what we're seeing a lot of is obviously trees down, but a lot on cars, just like you're seeing here. This was a minivan in that New Hope, Bucks County area. A lot of people tweeting. So again, this rolled through right during rush hour. So people were on the roads. And I fear that we're going to see more of this as the evening goes on.
Yeah, unfortunately, let's hope we don't, but Jess, I have a feeling that you're right. I have a feeling that we're going to, most likely, especially with the flash flooding still going on, and like you said, people still driving around. We talked about water and disabled vehicles in the water. It wouldn't be overly surprising if these are not the first ones, and or I should say that the last ones that we unfortunately hear about at some point through the rest of the evening as well.
And some good news, the tornado warning that was in effect for Bucks County and Burlington County has now been allowed to expire as of 7:30, so we no longer have a tornado warning for Bucks County. This is the storm that prompted it. It's now right over Mount Holly, right over the National Weather Service office, where it is producing severe hail, about an inch and a quarter in diameter, $half size hail coming down. So that, of course, is a hazard in and of itself. That can lead to damage to a vehicle. That can lead to injury as well. This is moving right over Lumberton, just east of 295. But again, the tornado warning that was in effect for that particular cell has now been allowed to expire. It is still severe thunderstorm warning until 8:15 for portions of Bucks, Burlington, Monmouth, and Ocean counties. We do still have a tornado warning, the last one in effect for our area right now at 7:30. Most of the Ocean County warning expired. We just have a tiny part of Ocean County along 195 and mostly over Monmouth County right now, still where you see that red box, still a tornado warning, and that goes until 7:45. So this is some indication that this is starting to weaken. We do have some video here, I believe, of damage near the Neshaminy Mall, or a photo. This is in Bensalem Township at the Neshaminy Mall, and look at all that debris in the Lowe's parking lot there by the Neshaminy Mall. You can see cars covered in leaves there. Looks like a lot of trees lost their leaves, and possibly some larger branches down as well. This is near the Lowe's and Walmart. You can see the plants blown over there. Lots of debris on the ground in the Lowe's and Walmart parking lots.
And that's not that far. So I was talking to you about there's a Panda Express, and that's all in the same general vicinity. So again, we're seeing people there, and actually thinking about that, Kate, there has been a storm report from the Feasterville-Trevose area of Bucks County where there was building damage and trees down in Bensalem Township near Street Road and the Turnpike, which we talked about a couple of times too when we were talking about where the potential for that path of that confirmed tornado to be. So that's a little bit, not quite right there where the Lowe's and the Walmart and that shopping center is, but it's in the same line, in that same vicinity of where that storm rolled through. So we have more building damage and more trees down as well, right along the turnpike, which we showed the shear track, and that it looked like that shear went right along, just basically rode right along the 276.
Kate, Matt, you talked about straight line winds. How damaging can they be? Talk about, and how fast can they roll through?
Well, I mean, it depends on the event, but you saw in Montgomery County last week, we had all that damage in the sometimes if you get a microburst, you can get winds of up to 150 miles an hour have been measured in a microburst. They brought planes down. So straight line winds are can be just as dangerous as tornadoes. So what we're going to have to see with today's damage as the National Weather Service goes out and inspects it, some of this may be straight line wind damage, some of this may be tornado damage. Generally speaking, you can tell the path of that because of the way the damage looks. A rotation in a storm with a tornado will have a different look than a microburst will spread out in all directions. Straight line winds is usually almost kind of like a crescent of damage as the winds come through.
So there's a pattern, okay.
You'll see like with tornado damage, you'll see a tree might be snapped, or a power line or a power pole might be snapped off maybe a third or halfway up. Instead of being blown over from the ground down, it'll snap it halfway.
Right.
And so you'll get those, so that kind of, now it doesn't mean that those kind of damages are only what to expect in straight line versus microburst versus, a tornado, but typically that's what you would see now, because that looks like the tree came all the way down.
I believe this was wasn't this from Weisenberg in Lehigh County?
I believe that's from Lehigh County. That's
and it looks like a tree came down on a car. Trees uprooted. Yeah, Weisenberg Township or Weissenberg Township. Let us know how to pronounce that.
Yes,
in Lehigh County. This was the first tornado warned storm we had north and west of the city, and it does look like a tree is down on a car. Power lines down as well. So again, it takes a trained damage team to go out and look at the damage, assess the path length, and say whether this was a tornado touchdown or straight line wind damage. But at the end of the day, the damage has been done. The trees are down, the power lines are down. Hopefully we escape this severe day without any major injuries or any fatalities. But again, we had barn damage there in Buckingham, Pennsylvania, tree down in New Hope, a tree on a car in Lehigh County. This storm just had a path of destruction, basically from the Lehigh Valley all the way. Now it's over Burlington County, a cell that developed on the southern end of it, producing half-dollar size hail at the headquarters of the National Weather Service. So it has been a day of damage, cars disabled in flash floods along Route 33 in Mercer County. We've had a little bit of every kind of damage from these storms, and it's still going on right now. It is starting to die down. The tornado warning for Bucks and Burlington counties was allowed to expire. In about 8 minutes or so, we'll have our last tornado warning, hopefully our last tornado warning, the only one out there right now. That is set to expire. And eventually this is going to move off the coast, and nothing is coming in behind it, which is the best news of all.
No, and you were asking about damage, and Kate, you were just talking about, figuring out who saw damage and where. The National Weather Service has come out and said that they are going to be doing their surveys tomorrow. Okay. So they're not going to be going out at all for the rest of tonight. The National Weather Service is going to wait until tomorrow, and then they will do all their surveys tomorrow. I have a feeling they'll be going to Bensalem. They'll be probably going to New Hope. They'll be obviously going to the Trenton area and kind of in between I-295 and Trenton, the Ewing area, to go through there. And I'm sure that they'll head all the way up into the Lehigh Valley to try to figure out exactly, what happened and when, and how long these paths were and everything. So we do know that we probably won't get full confirmation on this until some point tomorrow, exactly what the National Weather Service, knows happened
But
today.
we do know for sure we have at least 2 confirmed tornadoes.
Yes.
We don't know the strength. We don't know the path length. We know we had a confirmed tornado near the Neshaminy Mall in Bensalem, and we know we had a confirmed tornado near New Hope, a large, dangerous tornado near New Hope, likely with either stayed on the ground or touchdown again near Ewing, Lawrence, New Jersey. So 2 confirmed tornadoes minimum today.
Yeah, and so hopefully, I should clarify, say tomorrow we'll know probably the strength of what these were.
Yes, we'll know if we had that's when we look at the enhanced Fujita scale on EF0, EF1. I would suspect that we may be seeing some higher numbers, at least with the tornado that went through Bucks County, but we don't want to speculate ahead of time.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't really matter now because the damage has been done. It has already moved through. But it does matter in the sense that it's something that we don't see very often in this area. If we do get an EF, even an EF2, but certainly an EF3 tornado, that doesn't happen very often. So that's something that we'll be looking at very closely to see just exactly what happened and how strong it was as it moved on through.
Yeah, and if we do get up into that range, we're talking, 100+ mile an hour winds that are, coming through. So it's a very extreme situation for the Delaware Valley to have if we do end up with an EF3 that comes through. I used to know the stats off the top of my head. I don't know the last time we had one come through. But again, the biggest thing is, again, we talked about this earlier, the language that is used by the National Weather Service when it's an extreme, dangerous, considerable large tornado. That kind of wording for us just usually does not happen.
Yeah, it sparks it. And I can't remember we've had a lot of tornado warnings. I can't remember the last time though we've had subsequent tornado warnings where we've been in extended coverage like this for the better part of 4 hours. This started prior to 4 o'clock. At about 3:15, we had a tornado warning for Sussex County, and it's pretty much gone since then with a number of tornado warnings over and over and over. The last time I can remember that is when Isaias was making landfall, and we had a number of, but those were spin-up tropical spawn tornadoes. This is a different kind of animal altogether. This is a severe weather event like we haven't had in quite some time, and we've had a lot this summer, but I think when we go back and assess the damage from at least this Bucks County tornado, it's going to be something that we haven't seen in quite some time in this area. So that remains to be seen once we do the damage survey.
Yeah, definitely.
Several thousands of people without power tonight. PECO is reporting, we said 2,400 in Bucks County. We are still waiting for the numbers as it moves and makes its way across. One of the things that really stuck out to me, and I'm sure probably speak for both of us, is how many times you guys said unprecedented today, because we do see tornadoes popping up, but this was, you did that line, it was 25 miles of.
Earlier we showed where the shear track was, where it doesn't necessarily mean that the tornado was on the ground for that long, but we were getting at least radar indications of that spin in the atmosphere for 30 miles, and that was before it got into the Trenton area. So you could add, a little bit more on top of that. So that one particular cell was showing some kind of spin in the atmosphere is probably going to be somewhere around 50 miles, where it was showing spin, and then at times it probably touched down, and that's where we had those confirmed tornadoes.
You both have done a phenomenal job, and our crew, out there right now, you're looking at Jim McHugh is behind in the Weather Watcher. Just everybody, please be safe. But you both have just, what is it, 4 hours now?
Oh, yeah.
Has it been on?
Just after 3 o'clock.
About.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So if people see damage out there, should they report it to the police department so they can get to the surveyor, so they can get a better idea of what happened and where it happened?
Yeah, they can report it to their local police department, the local fire department. They'll get it to the National Weather Service, or they'll get it to a local emergency manager. Even if they were to send it to Cater Eye on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, we can then report it to the National Weather Service, and they consider us trained spotters. And if someone does have a picture of damage, even if they send it to the station, if they send it to one of you guys even, and you send it to us, we can look at it too. So there's a multitude of ways to take that picture of damage and get it to who it needs to go to. But yeah, if they're not onto the social media thing, or they don't want to email the station or whatever, but they can get in touch with their local fire, police department, or their local emergency manager's office, whether it's Bucks County over in New Jersey. You can look that up pretty easily, and you can send the picture to them, and they can get it across to the National Weather Service, and who needs to see it to get a better idea.
Good to know. The work is just beginning.
Our weather computer one more time. I just want to show you the track of this potential tornado, because we pulled up the shear tracks and extended this out a few hours. And I want you to watch over Bucks County what happens right here at about 5 o'clock near Richland, and then watch this line as it moves into Mercer County, and then it re-intensifies. And remember, the National Weather Service was saying, hey, the rotation is strengthening again. So it comes through. There's your potential tornado near New Hope right there. Then this extends down into Mercer County, very likely another tornado touchdown, possibly the strongest one there just south of Lawrence near Robbinsville. And then this cell, here's the storm near the Neshaminy Mall. This was about 6 o'clock. The storm blew up, and then here we go. And then you can start to see the brighter colors there as that tornado touched down. And also still a pretty decent shear track right into Burlington County before that warning was canceled. So just interesting to watch that line as the storm moved right across parts of Bucks County and into Mercer County, the rotation weakening, then strengthening, then weakening again. Again, we don't know if it was on the ground for that entire time, but we do know that it has produced damage and it has touched down. We had a confirmed tornado in that area.
And some other good news, the National Weather Service has said that they are going to let this last tornado warning expire in the next minute, so at 7:45. The last active tornado warning that we have for the time being will expire, and that will be the end of our tornado warnings for right now. Hopefully it will be the end of the tornado warnings for the evening, but we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning that is still continuing for Mercer, Middlesex, Monmouth, and Ocean counties until 8:15. So for just about another half an hour, we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning. And we also, of course, are still monitoring all the multitude of flash flood warnings that we have across portions of the region as well. So while the tornado threat for the time being has diminished enough that we're not dealing with any warnings in that capacity, we do still have strong thunderstorms, and of course we are, Kate, still monitoring that flash flooding threat.
That's right. So 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, one for portions of Ocean and Monmouth counties, a second one over Burlington County. That's the cell that has been producing severe hail near Mount Holly, $half size hail. It's now moving through Lumberton. That is likely going to move off the coast over Ocean County. You know, the one area that has been pretty much spared today has been the Jersey Shore. We haven't really seen much of anything there. And we talked earlier about how we had that prefrontal kind of band of showers roll through. And it does look like that may have helped stabilize the atmosphere enough from basically just south of the city or center city down to the shore for these storms to not really be able to gain the strength that they needed to turn severe in Philadelphia and down into the shore points, which of course is good news.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime we can talk about an area not dealing with severe weather, better than talking about dealing with the severe weather. So,
and we have some video that we have now from Quakertown. This is rain coming down in Quakertown. You can see, again, we talked about that scud. Again, it almost looks like when you look at the trails of rain coming down from a cloud, right there, it can look like a funnel cloud. That's not a tornado. That is basically just a rain extending down from a cloud, but heavy downpours in Quakertown in Bucks County. And again, Quakertown was right in the path of this strongest storm, so there may have been some sort of a tornado touchdown in that area as well. But look at those trees blowing sideways, wind and rain blowing sideways, a very severe lashing by that cell as it moved through the Quakertown area. Very dangerous storm came through, the trees kind of bending in the weight of the wind and rain there. This is from Jeff Fonda. Thank you so much for sending that in to us.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we most likely will end up knowing for sure. I remember when we were talking about that first tornado warning that came through, and then I said, you know, there's a little bit of rotation out there, and we pulled it up, and you're like, yeah, it looks like there's a little bit there too. And then I think maybe a couple minutes later they issued it. So again, I mean, we were watching it develop in real time, going, all right, you know, let's get prepared for another one, and that's exactly what happened. So, you know, again, right around the Quakertown area did not get spared either.
No, Bucks County was definitely the hardest hit today. We're going to continue our severe weather coverage until 8 o'clock tonight. We still have active severe thunderstorm warnings and active flash flood warnings in effect. Flooding has been occurring. We have reports of cars disabled along Route 33 in Mercer County, reports of half-dollar size hail in Mount Holly, New Jersey. The good news at this hour is all of the tornado warnings have now been allowed to expire for our area. We're going to go back to our photographer, Jim McHugh. He is driving in the CBS3 mobile weather watcher, driving probably heading back toward Philadelphia from Bucks County now, assessing damage along the way. You can see the roads are wet. Everything is soaked. There's lots of flooding out there right now, and the flash flood warnings, depending on which one you're looking at, go until at least 10, if not after 11 o'clock tonight. So something to keep in mind. We keep talking about tornadoes. We keep talking about wind damage. If you come across a flooded roadway, even after the storms have passed, don't drive through it. Turn around. Don't drown. There may be roads flooded out still in Northeast Philly under a flash flood warning. Bucks County, Lower Bucks, Central and Northern Bucks County still under a flash flood warning, and these storms are still out there and still have a ton of lightning, by the way, here over portions of Burlington County and into Ocean County, where the strongest storms are right now. And you can see those flash flood warnings just following the storms as they've been moving to the east and southeast.
Just out of curiosity, we see it over the Atlantic there. Is it breaking up out there as it moves to the east?
So what happens is it's getting a little bit probably further away from the radar site. And as it gets further away from the radar site, the beam kind of fades. So as it gets away, it's probably just not reading the precipitation quite
so if we pull up the national radar here, you can see there's still some active storms out over the.
So when we use a couple of the particular tools, you're using one particular radar site, whether it's the one from the Philadelphia International Airport or there's the National Weather Service one in Mount Holly. And if you're using one particular site, it has a specific range. The beam only goes out so far before it kind of fizzles, or it gets deflected back down towards the ground. So as you get a little bit further away, but as you put that mosaic together like Kate just did, you can kind of get a better idea because it gets pushed out a little bit further. So it's not probably so much that it's breaking up as much as the beam height is just you're just not seeing.
Good to know.
But Kate, you were talking about a little bit about flooded roadways and not driving through flooded roadways. We have gotten another report of flooding of street flooding in Mercer County, New Jersey. This is in the Hightstown area. So we're talking to the east of Trenton as you get out towards like East Windsor Township. We're getting some reports of street flooding there, and then also got a report of trees down on New Jersey Route 29 in Washington Crossing, New Jersey. So right across. We talked earlier, we were talking about River Road in Pennsylvania and then 29 in New Jersey, kind of riding right along, almost parallel one another, right along Washington Crossing, New Jersey and Pennsylvania. On the New Jersey side, we have gotten some reports there of trees down completely blocking Route 29 in Washington Crossing, New Jersey. No reports of anything of Washington Crossing, Pennsylvania, but on the other side of the river, we're getting some tree down.
Okay, trees down, and that makes sense because that's exactly where that confirmed tornado crossed right over that area. We do still have this severe thunderstorm warning. This is moving basically to the east-southeast at about 25 miles an hour. That'll put it over Browns Mills at 7:54, Red Oak Grove by 8:21, then Barnegat 8:49, and hopefully moving off the coast, LBI may get hit with whatever's left of this. Hopefully will be weakened by then, but possibly still severe by about 9:03. So Ocean County, all of the Ocean County beaches from Brick Township down toward Toms River and LBI still under the threat of severe weather this evening. Likely not a tornado. We no longer have tornado warnings out there, but severe thunderstorms with frequent lightning, large hail. The wording for this warning said ping pong ball size hail likely for this. So that's about 1.5 inches in diameter. So ping pong ball size hail, we've had $half hail at the Mount Holly offices, and this is all moving east toward Ocean County. So still severe weather out there, even though we don't have any active tornado warnings. We do still have 2 active severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, mainly for Ocean County and portions of Burlington County right now. It does look as though the threat has ended for Philadelphia and points west. There's one little shower, one little downpour over Montgomery County, but don't expect that to strengthen. And then this is what we have going on right now. The worst of it over Burlington County and Ocean County, New Jersey, and moving east-southeast, it looks like at about 25 miles per hour.
So yeah, definitely starting to hopefully wind down.
Yes.
at least a little bit, but we will be with you.
The last time we said that, they issued a new tornado warning.
That's very true.
So let's not.
And either way, we're going to be with you to the top of the hour, no matter what.
Yes.
So we are still monitoring this until 8 o'clock, or unless there is another reason for us to continue to monitor any more severe weather. We were talking a little bit earlier too about once that Sussex County storm went out over the Delaware Bay, if we would have any marine issues.
Yes.
And I was just about to bring this up, but you just said it. We do now have a marine issue as this system probably ends up pushing off the New Jersey coastline and out into the Atlantic Ocean. They have issued a marine warning. So it's basically just, we're talking about strong thunderstorms that push out over open waters, whether it was the Delaware Bay earlier where we had our confirmed water spout down in Long Neck, or we're now talking about pushing out over the Atlantic Ocean. Now, hopefully the folks that maybe were out in the Atlantic Ocean, they have had enough time to talk to people to get themselves out off of the water.
Right.
Or if you're in the bay, the inlet, anything like that, you're not out there anymore. But if you do know anybody that is out there, we're talking right now. We're talking about Little Egg Harbor Inlet and up towards the Sandy Hook area. So we're talking north even of Toms River at this point. Again, though, if you do know anybody in that general,
that's probably the northern storm that's about to move off Monmouth.
But again, if you do know anybody out
yeah.
there, tell them to, now's the time to get off of the Atlantic Ocean. And here's a picture down at the Jersey Shore. I believe this is Cape May.
This is Cape May from the Montreal Beach Resort, and it looks pretty quiet.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it looks gray, and it looks like there might be a couple people standing there. I can't in the water. Maybe it looked like there might have been a person.
Justin, if you can hear me, can you pull up Fiber 10, the camera, because this is kind of like the calm after the storm in Philadelphia. There it is. Look at that.
Wow!
A beautiful sunset descending behind the city. Now, this is kind of an indication of good things to come in the wake of these storms. We've got beautiful weather expected for the next 2 days, and some live looks at the city now. You can see this is looking west. It looks pretty quiet now. Everything has started to calm down, at least from the city on west. There's a live look from our roof cam as we take you through the region right now.
And Kate, you talked about good things to come. We couldn't do a newscast without showing the 7-day forecast at least one time. We have to show the 7-day at least once. We haven't gotten the wrap just yet, but
we'll get there in just a second.
It's going to be a really nice setup after we still kind of deal with the remaining showers and thunderstorms and the flash flooding. Of course, we're not kind of trying to downplay what's still going on, but it is going to get better. We're going to have a breeze tomorrow, but 85 and then 80
Saturday.
degrees. It could be in the 40s in the Poconos on Saturday morning.
That'll feel
Just
really
throwing that
nice.
out there for everybody too.
Let's plan a hike now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good stuff coming in behind these storms. So we still have severe weather threats out there. Again, we're seeing the end of it. We're seeing things start to wind down. But still, if you're in central Burlington County, if you're in Ocean County, we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Monmouth County and several flash flood warnings as well. We are going to be with you only for the next minute or two, but rest assured, Our eyeballs will continue to be on the radar, and if anything else does pop up, if another tornado warning is issued for any part of our area with that last remaining cell, we will jump back on and let you know about it immediately. But it does look like things are starting to wind down, and we're seeing the light. We just saw the light descending behind the buildings at the end of the tunnel.
I was going to say, it doesn't get much better than that picture right there. But yes, it has been a long afternoon, but it has been an afternoon that, that's why we're here, to make sure that everybody is safe, to make sure that, hopefully, the information that we gave everybody today was useful, and that they used it and they were able to not have any issues, and they were able to keep themselves safe as we dealt with it. As we've said, Jess, I don't know, you had to count unprecedented, however many times we said it today.
Potentially unprecedented,
it was a very messy, very nasty afternoon and early evening.
And we have to give a shout out to the National Weather Service, because they have been working very hard on this today, and their work has just started, because now they're going to go out tomorrow and assess all the damage, at least 2 confirmed tornado touchdowns. And we will expect to hear from them hopefully by this time tomorrow, or maybe sooner. We will know the extent of the damage and the extent of what actually happened in our region today. But we know considerable damage left behind in parts of Bucks County especially, and Mercer County, New Jersey. And you're looking there near the Neshaminy Mall in Bensalem at all the debris and all the damage from the Lowe's parking lot. Thanks to all of our viewers.
I couldn't tell if that was a shed that was outside that was flipped over, or if that was one of those trash cans.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Stay safe, everyone.